Hey, good evening, everybody. Welcome to what is it, number 60 of Comic Art Live Chats. It's good to have everybody here. A little bit of late start, mostly because it was me. I was shooting some memes with my son for the, I guess we can call it the Christmas episode in a couple of weeks. So, and it is actually 2 weeks from now, since this is a Wednesday night. Normally, we would be doing a Dueling Dealers episode, but that was Monday this week, all because of conventions coming back. Just remember that. I know that the more conventions are happening on the weekends and whatnot, it's going to start disrupting our live stream schedule more and more. But as far as I heard today, Anthony drove through Northern Ohio. He dropped off his art for Monday with Mike. And I guess Mike's going to be doing all the scanning and or arranging. So God only knows what I'm going to end up with when Mike is done with all that. But I guess I'll be talking to him this weekend and finally get everything set up for next Monday's show with Dino, Jordan, and Mike and Anthony. So do we get content tomorrow? Yes, Scott, we will get content tomorrow. I'm going to do a regular CAF update tomorrow. I was going to do the CAF update yesterday after I had that show with Micah, but I couldn't cram it all in there and get everything done. So we'll have a regular CAF update tomorrow. And next week, I think I'll be back to, well, I won't be back to a semi-regular schedule. I don't know. I don't have anything lined up for next Wednesday yet. I haven't emailed anybody about interviews or that sort of thing, but we'll try. And then we've got the Christmas week, the fall, right there, and then it's New Year's week. So I think the next 3 weeks might be a little bumpy, but we'll figure it all out. We'll definitely have plenty of time to hang out and a couple sales shows, I think, in between there, because we have that Ed Hannigan show on the 20th that Ed won't be a part of, but I did film an interview with him on Sunday, and we will also, I believe, have one extra sales show before the end of the year, a special one. So I won't talk about it just yet until I get confirmation on that tomorrow. So CAF update tonight. We are, tomorrow night, and it should be a lot of fun. I've got Chrissy's going to be on a little bit with me longer than normal. We're going to do a longer set of the picks, just so you know. Who was it? West suggested that I slow down and not do the super fast ramble through of my 25 picks of the week. So Chris and I are going to do something different. We're going to show mine and talk more about them, and then we'll do Chris's picks as well. So tomorrow's show will be a little different as well. But so, hey, my guest tonight, Eric B., is in the green room, so I don't want to keep him waiting. And I know that's why we're all here this evening, and we want to talk to Eric about his awesome art collection. Hey, Eric, how are you doing?
I'm all right. I was enjoying it as if I was just watching the show. It's fantastic.
See, well, that's we were talking earlier. You said that you kind of catch most of the broadcasts one way or another, whether you're watching it live or you're putting it in the corner, minimized while you're working, because you have a schedule a lot like mine, where you're not normally not just 9 to 5. You got a lot of times where you're working late at night, and you can't be too distracted from the shows that we do, right?
No, yeah, there's definitely a night shift, and if there's a lot of artwork that's being shared in one episode, especially like the recap, like the Thursday shows, those ones always distract me because I can't not, check out the corner. So good, and always great picks.
Well, we try, but so we're going to do something different tomorrow. West had suggested. He said, I think whatever it was, he left a comment in the comment section on YouTube saying that he liked the fact that Chris took one or 2 minutes on a piece to talk about it, and he felt that my 10 seconds wasn't enough, and maybe I should change that. And I'm willing to try anything, so I don't mind having the chance to talk more about artwork. So I think that it'll be fun, and maybe if everybody likes it, and it gives people a chance to also comment about the art, because that's one of the big negatives of me racing through artwork, is that I don't get to see the comments when they're happening, and then people don't really have the chance to say anything about it either. So we'll see. It's always good. Change is a good thing every now and again.
It sounds like a great suggestion, so I look forward to it.
All right. So welcome, Eric. You've been on CAF for what, over 13 years?
Yeah, something like that.
So been around a while, seen a lot of artwork on our site, and I know we've emailed in the past, but I mean, clearly we've never met. So we always start these shows off, because you've seen them, with origin stories and how you got started, not only in collecting original comic art, but also comics in general. Where was your starting point with comics?
Well, for collecting art, it's super simple. It's like everybody else's. I collected comic books, and then I found out that there was art. You could buy the art that made those comic books, and so I started collecting the art. But I had a cousin who was a little bit older than me. I was around 8 years old, and I walked into his room. He had moved back from Calgary, and he had like dresser drawers full of comic books, lots of Byrne, X-Men. It was crazy how much books he had. And I would just sit in his room and we'd talk a lot. And so he got me interested, and I started with Excalibur. So Alan Davis was kind of like my in, and that was wonderful. And then I moved to McFarlane on Amazing Spider-Man, and then it just kind of progressed from there. A lot of DC, a lot of Marvel, mostly Marvel. Image happened, a lot of Image, and then I started looking for independent stuff. And looking for independent stuff is kind of what led me to kind of into the hobby itself. I was waiting on Adrian Tomine's Optic Nerve, and he was about to do a 3-issue arc, and it was taking him over a year, 1 to 2 years per issue. And I thought, oh man, did I miss the issue? Did it already come out? So I decided, okay, I'll just go on his website. And on his website, he had a tab that just said original art. And I was like, oh, okay, let's click on that. And he had some artwork available. And I ended up looking around, and I was like, this is really neat. He's got stuff that I could just buy from the actual series that he was working on, but he also had stuff from the New Yorker, and the New Yorker stuff was a little bit more inexpensive. So again, I was curious. So I ended up buying it was a review for the film The Mexican with Julia Roberts and James Gandolfini. I got that piece. I looked at it. I thought it was really cool. It was small. It's like, I think it was 5x7, something like that. Years later, I ended up selling it to Felix Liu, and I felt horrible about it. If only the collector conversations were then as opposed to now, because the way that I packaged this thing was not good enough.
Oh, no.
So, yeah, I think it arrived bent. He let me know. I felt so horrible. I said, take a picture of it. I want to see it. I want to see how bad, like what happened in the mail. I'll reimburse you. I'll give you money back. I'm really sorry. And he said, nah, don't worry about it. Forget about it. It's fine. And since that moment, now I spend my company, one of the companies that I worked at, they were moving from one place to another place, and they decided that they didn't want to carry all the foam core that they had laying around. So I just stole it all. So now I've got so much foam core in the basement. So I whenever I sell anything, I can use 4 pieces. And if I can put another piece in, I will. And I'll wrap that thing so it's really well packaged.
It'll never happen again, right? You only have to have one bad experience with shipping to whether you get it or you shipped it to correct that behavior forever.
And it had to be to Felix. It had to be to somebody who, I could buy stuff for later on. If he hears this, he probably doesn't remember me, but he might remember the experience now. And now he's got a face for the name. So Felix, I'm sorry. So next I ended up again. So the piece was great, and I ended up selling it, but it was great. And I went to another show, and Brian Lee O'Malley was there. And again, I wasn't sure how I always thought that the bigger companies, they paid the artist for the art, then they hoarded the art. And they would either throw it out or they would just keep it for prosperity or what have you. I didn't know what happened to it. I didn't know that. And I heard stories about, Kirby asking for it back and them not willing to give it. So I thought, it was rare that artists had original art. So I thought, well, Adrian Tomine, he's not at Marvel or DC. Maybe he gets to keep his art. And when I saw Brian Lee O'Malley, he had a portfolio with him. And I was like, oh, maybe, again, he's a smaller guy. He's not with Marvel or DC. Like, maybe he gets to keep his stuff too. But in chatting with him, he let me know that, oh my God, no, artists have the art. You can just get it from. So I was flipping through his book, and I found a page, and it was from Lost at Sea. It's one of the, it was just like a really nice quiet page. It's just 2 girls in a car talking, and that's it. And yeah, that's it right there. It's really, really nice. And again, I like these quiet moments. I like they're very introspective. And most of my collecting, if I have panel pages, a lot of the times this is what they're like. I don't tend to gravitate towards like bombastic fight scenes, although I probably should go into that realm because there's some of them are really cool. But I picked this up, and again, it was inexpensive. This is my dipping my toes into the arena kind of phase. And I asked him for a sketch. And so he drew this guy, the side profile of this guy. And I'm like, I don't know who this is. And it ended up being Scott Pilgrim. And I didn't know Scott Pilgrim at the time. And so I said, hey, I was really just hoping for Raleigh, who is the lead character of Lost at Sea, because that's the book that I had just read. That's what I knew him for. And so he was kind enough to get me the sketch. So I ended up with 2 sketches and a page at that show. And I was like, oh, wow, this is really cool. I think I really like this. So at this point, I said, you know what? I'm going to start going to conventions, and I'm going to start collecting some of this stuff. And I'll keep it small for now. So I went to Fan Expo, and I saw Michael Turner, and he was at his booth, and the line was just long. It would never.
Yeah,
It was constant. Like I'd go by, and it was long, and I'd look at him, and he'd smile, and then I'd go back, and it's still long, and he'd smile at me, and I go, I would make like, it's still long, and he'd go, yeah. And so I wandered around the convention, but I really wanted to chat with him because he was one of the main guys that I knew who was there at the time. And so the show was closing. This is the first night. The show was closing. So I said, you know what, I'm going to take a chance. I'm just going to go to his booth and just see if I can just have a conversation with him. Maybe get a sketch. That'd be really cool. Mm-hmm. And so his booth was pretty much empty. There's the first time nobody's around. He's packing up. Like everybody was like putting the tarps over their things and packing stuff up. So he was there packing away some books, and I saw him, and he noticed me. And I don't know if he remembered me for the constant circling I had done around his booth.
If I was stalking him.
Yeah, I don't know if I became a familiar face or if he was just polite. So he kind of waved, and I waved back. And then I opened up my satchel, and I pulled out like a little bit of my sketchbook, and I pointed at it, and he went. And I was like, okay, it's fine. Don't worry. No problem. And then he just looked one way. He looked the other way. He just like waved me in real fast. And so I walked up real quickly, and he drew Aspen. I mean, he's drawn this countless of times. And it was such a quick sketch. It happened in seconds. But for me, this is the very first sketch. Like, this is the one for me that started it all. And again, yeah, he's done this sketch a gazillion times. But for me, as a fan, as someone starting in this, he kind of pushed me into like, you can approach collectors. You can really, the guys that you aspire to. I mean, I like Brian Lee O'Malley, but I really liked Michael Turner. And for me, he was almost like someone who was potentially unattainable, like unapproachable. But he was very approachable. He was very kind, very generous. And the fact that he did this in seconds for me, and it was free. And I was just blown away. It made my show. And then from that moment on, I dove into the hobby full hog. So that's kind of the origin story. I know it's a long one. I'm trying to make these stories a little shorter so we can show more art.
We like it. We like looking at art, but we do like we like good stories as well. And so that's that's a great first couple of experiences, though.
It was.
I mean, a lot of people's first experiences are semi-negative or awkward, and yours doesn't sound like that at all, really. So that worked out great.
Yeah, it did.
Other than the shipping issue with Felix.
The shipping issue, yeah, and it's a scar. So every time it's never going to go away. And you're right, it happens once, and then that's it. So next, I was about to turn 30, and I was like, I want to get myself a really nice piece for when I'm 30. And I have this habit of with art, like I save up throughout the entire year, and my birthday is 3 days before Christmas. So it's as if I'm giving myself for growing up, I would get one mitten for my birthday, one mitten for Christmas.
It was a running joke, right?
Yeah. It's not an exaggeration. Like my sister would get $10 for Christmas. I get $5 for my birthday, $5 for Christmas. And they're like, wait a minute. That's not fair.
That's not fair at all. Because your sister's birthday was probably July 1st, and she got $10 then too.
She did, and you're really close, man. It's July 2nd.
Oh, there you go. Wow. So, all right.
So anyway, I'd have this habit of buying, like saving all year, and then I get something nice for my birthday. That's a lot of the time. That's kind of like my pattern. So for my 30th birthday, I thought, I'm gonna get something nice. I didn't know what to get. I think I stumbled upon Spencer's site. I believe it was Spencer's. Or Comic Collectibles. Is that Spencer?
Spencer, no, is the artist's choice.
Ah, okay.
The one with the star background that's been there for about 20 plus years.
All right, very good. All right, so
it wasn't that one.
Okay. So I ended up buying the cover to Spider-Man, Marvel Knight Spider-Man number 17, and it's a great shot. It's like Spider-Man, he's kind of beaten down. His mask is all ripped, and he's just hit a billboard. And it's this one here where
other side.
This other side. It's strange doing it this way. Can't find my right.
Here, I'll pull the image up on screen. I've got it.
Nice. anyways, it's gorgeous. I love it. It's like there's so much detail in Spider-Man, and I love like the ripped costume, and he's not out, like he's just about to get up again, like he's taken one for, but he can just keep going. But the detail on that billboard, all the nicks and the creases and the damage of it, and the fact that the entire thing is hand lettered is just gorgeous. It's one of the only two pieces, and the two pieces I have framed or behind me, but it's one of the only pieces that I have framed, and and I stare at it often, and I just think it is great. It's just a beautiful little, story in itself. The hero, he's down and out. The villain is still there, but he's not about to give up. So I that was fantastic. I just loved it. Now my wife had the same idea for my birthday. She thought, I'm gonna get him some artwork because she knew that I was really into this, or she saw me getting excited about artwork. So she got some friends together and to sort of pitch in, and she was going to get me a page. Now she saw that I got myself a page because it arrived before my birthday, and she thought that, like he's already got himself a page. Mine is not going to be as good as this because his is a cover, and he might not be as excited for the page that I got him. But she ended up getting me a Jim Lee Superman page. So how can you not love that?
Wow. Did you have to give her any direction, or she did that all on her own?
She did it all. I do a Christmas list, and I was like, this was like this will never happen. But I put down like Jim Lee, Batman, Jim Lee Superman, Todd McFarlane, Amazing Spider-Man, as if that was ever going to be a thing. But she took it upon herself. She saw the list. She went on Albert Moy. She picked out a page, and she didn't even know that, like, I like these quiet scenes, and you hear it in this example. It's a nice quiet scene. It's just him talking with the priest. This beautiful stoic face in that second panel. A lot of detail work of the church. They get the nice Superman symbol in that fourth panel, but that face at the bottom, like the inking on that face is just gorgeous. And I know I didn't have a really high res scan on this one for you, mainly because it's stuck in the, I couldn't take it without any glare happening. But it's stunning. That inking, that Scott Williams inking on it is just, it's something to just marvel at. And so she got it for me framed. And so I had to get the other page framed. So that's how I ended up. So my 30th birthday is the moment in time where I got 2 pages framed, and that was it. That's the only time and the only pages that I got. I kind of prefer looking through a portfolio, and also if the house burns down, it's easier to grab the portfolio than running down to the basement to grab these.
Oh yeah, no, that's what. You've watched the show a bit. Everybody kind of feels the same way. It's the original art has to be an easy place to get it off the walls and out the door or out the window, or leave them in portfolios so you can just grab them and go.
Yeah. So that was like, to me, so I started off with a bang, and my collecting habits kind of went, I came in strong, and then I relaxed, and then in the last couple of years I've kind of started the machine up again, just because I got excited about it. I kind of fell, and I was like not interested in some of the work, some of the stories I wasn't gravitating towards. Had something that I read a story that I loved and started all over again. So, but at this time too, my wife was, she's a saint. I would pick a city where there'd be a convention, and I'd say, honey, how do you feel about San Diego? And she'd say, I hear it's a really nice city. I'm like, great, because there's a convention there. We should go. Or like, how do you feel about Boston? How do you feel about New York? So I was starting to, wherever there's a con, I would start to pick those locations to go. So I went to San Diego. And my goal was to get a J. Scott Campbell piece. And that's all I wanted to do. So I got there. I was second in line on Thursday. And there was a guy in front of me. So I was number 2, and I was really excited. I was like, I'm going to ask for a sketch, and I'm going to get a sketch. It's going to be fantastic. Because I love J. Scott Campbell's artwork. From how he started in the miniseries for Gen 13, like issue 1 to issue 1 of the ongoing series, he just took a giant leap forward. And
he did, yeah.
On the actual series itself, he started every 5 issues. I thought he was just jumping. Like he just kept getting better and better and better. And I kind of fell in love with his artwork. He had a great amount of detail. He can draw both men and women, gorgeous. And he wasn't afraid of drawing environments. And it was just stunning. And Alex Garner's inks were just top notch on all the Gen 13 and Danger Girl stuff. So my goal was, I'll get a sketch from him. So I'm number 2 in line. The guy in front of me, it was a 3-hour wait because he I think he was late getting to the hotel and checking in and not. So the guy in front of me just gets all mad. He's like, I can't believe these guys. You think they're rock stars and blah, blah, blah. And he just takes off. And I'm like, oh man, now I'm number 1. This is great. So he comes in, we're talking, and he's like, so, what would you like? And I'm like, I'd love to get on your commission list. He's like, sorry, that's closed. Like, how can it be closed? I'm first in line. He's like, well, the way that San Diego works, you got to get the 5-day pass. So they closed yesterday. I just, you got to get here for the early show. And I was like, oh, come on.
So this you said, what day was this? Was this Thursday or
Thursday? Yeah.
Thursday.
So
Yep.
the Wednesday advance show, I didn't know. So I was heartbroken, but he's like, but don't worry, I made a sketchbook for the show. So he pulled out pieces from his Faces sketchbook, and I was going through them, and there's a bunch that were already gone, already taken. And there was one of Abby from Danger Girl, and I was like, oh, this is really nice. And so I looked at the price, and I was like, oh, I got to get this. There was a black cat that I really wanted. I was just out of my price range, but I'm like, I have enough money to buy this one, Abby Chase on this orange paper. And I was like, it was stunning. And it was just, to me, it was like a quick sketch. It's like I almost got the commission just by being able to get this. And he later told me, he goes, you know what, out of all the ones that I did for this particular sketchbook, this one was my favorite. And I'm like, oh, cool, I made a good pick. But I like getting artwork from artists that, that they're kind of known for their signature characters for everybody. Sometimes I go against type, and I'll get something from someone who, it's not what they're comfortable doing, and sometimes that's a gamble. And I've had experiences where that's gone awry. But you're always safest if you go with somebody that they're really comfortable doing. So I ended up getting this piece, and that was the highlight of the show. Even though I couldn't get on the commission list, I figured, I'll get it on next time. So
you got to talk with him a bit, and still got the art. I mean, that's great.
Yeah, it was very personal. It was straight from him. I ended up talking to his dealer later, and I think his dealer was, I guess he was kind of mad that he was selling artwork at his booth. He didn't know, so I guess maybe he wasn't getting a commission. And this was around the time I think he started parting ways and started doing his own stuff. Like, Campbell has come out as a genius marketer in the business. Like, he has created a brand for himself. I mean, I work in advertising, and he is just on fire with everything that he does from a marketing standpoint. It's just, he really engages with fans, and he takes the time at conventions. So it was a really great experience. So, and I kind of wanted more. I still wanted that commission. I still had the commission in my head. So I wanted to work up to that. On eBay, and this is like a cautionary tale for eBay, there's a Campbell that I wanted. So because I didn't get I just wanted to build up my Campbell collection. I had this lofty goal at the time. After I got this piece, I was like, you know what? My goal is going to be to have the best Campbell collection on CAF, or at least top 5. That was going to be my goal. I'm like, okay, so let's see how I can do this. And rushing to the end of the story, I never really got there. I got close, I think, but maybe top 10, top 15. I don't know.
It would be, what would be interesting would be for us to take certain artists and, certain collectors and artists that they collect, and then kind of see where your collections rank with regards to views and comments for a particular artist on a page. That'd be a lot of digging data-wise into what we got, but it would be interesting to see, because you could do some of that stuff year over year. Certainly on comments and likes. I don't track impressions or views in a granular way like that. But yeah, there'd be some things that could come out of it. So just before we move on to so you were at the show. That was the first thing you did, was get in that line for Campbell. Yeah. How was the rest of the show? I mean, did you spend all your money on that one piece, and then that was it? Did you get to go and pick up a few pieces while you were there?
I did. You know what? I got a sketch from Humberto Ramos.
Oh, cool.
And I got one from the guy who was sitting next to him, Ferreira, I think his name was. And they were just in my sketchbook. So I got a bunch of stuff in my sketchbooks as well. So I got a lot of sketches, but the main goal was to get a Campbell. I didn't get any published pieces that first time around. It was just, again, it was my very first convention. It was overwhelming. And I was also there with my wife and my son, who at the time was like, a year old. So it was, and I felt bad leaving him with her for long periods of time. So I would go in and then leave and then come back and then leave. So if I can get on a commission list, I would try to get on a commission. I only had one sketchbook, so I would get on a commission list and then I would book it and then come back later and get the book and then move on the next person. But the goal was Campbell. And then once I got the sketch, I was like, I felt like I got what I came here for. So I'm done. But because we still wanted to check out the San Diego Zoo, we wanted to go on the board, like go by the beach. We wanted to just experience the city. And so as much as it was about for the convention, to me, Campbell was the goal. I achieved the goal. I could also enjoy the city with my family. So it was a really great trip. And then I went to eBay to get more artwork, because eBay was kind of had a lot of artwork, and I bought a Sue Storm, and I looked at it and I was like, I don't know if this Sue Storm is right. Something off about it. But some artists, sometimes when they're sketched, it's a little bit looser and what have you, and you're not sure about the piece itself. And so I put it on CAF. At this point, I had a friend who told me about CAF, so I just kind of did a nice dump. I put a lot of work on CAF, and I put the Sue Storm up. And the CAF community looked at it, and someone said, "You know what? I don't think that that's actually Campbell." And I was like, "Yeah, it does look off, right?" And then we kept talking back and forth, and they're like, "No, I don't think it's. I think that this is a fake." And I was like, and that's the last thing you want to hear. So you just bought something off eBay, and it's a fake. And so I contacted because I had I had talked to his rep at the time, so we exchanged business cards, or he gave me his business card. I didn't have one to give him.
Was that Mitch at that time?
It was Mitch, and that's his name. It was Mitch. And so I reached out to Mitch, and he says, "Yeah, don't worry, I'll ask Jeff to see if it's his." And he came back, and I saw the email, and I was like, "Oh man, it's true. It's not him." And he said, "Yeah, you can tell by the signature. It's too tight." And I'm like, "The signature? I'm looking at the hand. I'm looking at the mouth. It's all of it." Like after I realized it was a fake. It was like it was all wrong. And I kept it up on CAF for years, and then I just took it down, maybe 5-6 years ago, just because I was like, I don't know if I need to move on from this. But it was a nice cautionary tale and there was a lot of back and forth. So the CAF community really rallied behind it, and helped me out, and was even like pointers like, how do you make sure that it's real, and all this kind of stuff. And it was wonderful. Like you really felt that you had that sense of community. Everybody had each other's back, regardless if it was heartbreaking that it was fake.
Do you know if you bought it from another collector, or did you buy it from an artist that was no way of telling at that point? Yeah.
No, I got my money back. I sent it back. I got my money back.
Oh, you did? Okay.
Yeah.
Good.
So everything worked out. The weird part is that I think 6 months later, it popped up back on eBay. And so I contacted eBay. I said, "Listen, I know this is a fake. I know because I bought it. I talked to the rep." And so they ended up taking it down. So at least there was that. But because that happened, I was like, "Oh, there's a hole in my collection." And just at that time, another collector had a piece for sale, and he's kind of been like my mentor in the collection world. His name is Todd, and he had this green, gorgeous, like nice, like, so I had like the orange colored paper for the Abbey. Well, he had this beautiful, larger green version for Fairchild, and he had it for sale. And I said, "I love this. Can I have this? Are you really?" Because I think it wasn't for sale. He had put down, I think he put the word maybe next to it, like for sale, and he had put maybe, and I was like, "Is this maybe for real? Like, I think I want this. I really like this piece." And so he said, "Yeah, sure, you can have it." And so that kind of filled that hole of that whole eBay experience. He just put it behind me, and it's a gorgeous piece. I mean, the texture, because he's using crayons for the hair, but it's got a little bit of like, it's almost dusting on the body, and it's classic. It's somebody he's known for. I thought at the time it was one of the best Fairchilds that I had seen that he had done, and so I was really happy to get that in my collection. At this point, I'm like, yeah, I could make a run for the top 5. I might be able. I'm getting some decent pieces, and this is one of those ones that I really, really like, and I think it's really helping me kind of fill out the collection.
So what size is this? Is it a little bit taller
17.
than it is? 11 by 17. Okay.
Yeah, it's just 11/17. He did have some taller ones, and I do have a taller one, but it's just this is just an 11/17. And the paper it's fairly thin, but it's stunning. I look at this one often, like the line work on it, and this is the point where he was starting to ink himself, and he was getting more comfortable. And you can see, like I can see in here how he was getting that much more comfortable inking himself. Because there's a time where there's a big period where he was just doing pencils and just digitally inking. So because he wasn't confident in inking himself after he and Garner kind of parted ways. So, but this is him just getting in there, and I think he did a tremendous job inking it. So that was
beautiful.
That was that. So I at this point I felt like I had a lot of Campbell, and I just kept going with Campbell. Like I would get other sketches from other collectors or from artists, but my main focus was Campbell. And so I still wanted that commission. Like my whole point for going to San Diego that one time was to get that commission. And so I finally caught up to him in New York, and I said, really like to get on your commission list. And he goes, yeah, okay, sure. Well, what do you want? I said, I want Black Cat and Spider-Man swinging through the city. He's like, sure, I'll just need a down payment of $500. I'm like, oh, okay, yeah, sure, no problem. And I said, he goes, I just take the money in case, you flake out on me and I can't sell it. And I just paused and looked at him. You don't think you could sell a Black Cat and Spider-Man? And he just kind of chuckled and he goes, yeah, you're right. You're probably right. And so we parted ways. We got addresses, and that was that. And I would email him every now and then, but he was very infrequent. I mean, he's a busy guy. He'd get back to you every now and then. And then one night there was a Twitch stream that he did, and he was showing artwork that he was just working on something, and then he showed some artwork that he had, and in one of those actual pages he had Black Cat swinging and Spider-Man. I'm like, oh, that's my commission. Oh my God, that's my commission. It's going to be gorgeous. So I got really excited. And then a few months later, it showed up on CAF. And my thought was, oh God, I'm such an unoriginal person. Like I have no good ideas. Someone else wanted the exact same thing. This is ridiculous. I can't believe this. And I started thinking, oh my God, maybe mine will be better. Like maybe mine will have, because it was like just them swinging, and it had like the black background, and it looked like it could be a city, but it wasn't a city, but they were swinging. I thought, well, maybe mine will have more detail in the city or something like that. And I started thinking, yeah, mine will be great. It'll be fine. And I thought, well, maybe I should change it. I don't know. And as soon as I had the idea of I'll change it, the original owner put it up for sale. So I pounced. I bought it. I had to get it because it's kind of the commission that I wanted. It was Black Cat as the hero and Spider-Man just swinging through the city.
So you have a commission lined up to get a Black Cat and Spider-Man. Yeah. And you buy someone else's commission before you get yours.
Yes. Well, okay. This was like, so I asked Campbell, and then a year later, he still hadn't, I still hadn't even seen a sketch for it yet.
Okay.
And if I, full disclosure, 7 years later, he canceled my commission. So I waited a very, very long time. But so the story kind of goes in and out. But the Black Cat that hey Michael, the Black Cat that I got that swinging, there's 3 pieces in my collection that are part of the permanent collection. There's the Michael Turner, the sketch, because it's the one that to me that's my true first one. This is the second because this is what I always wanted. I always wanted a Black Cat and Spider-Man swinging through the city, and this is the closest that I ever got to that commission. It's also probably the closest I'll ever get to owning a what could be a cover by Campbell that has these 2 characters. This was never a cover. This was always just, a commission. He took a lot of these kind of commissions to fill out his sketchbooks. So it's made it into multiple sketchbooks and compilations, but it's never been a cover. I think it's good enough to be a cover, but it's never been a cover in, I don't think that it will be at any point in the near future, because there's so much. He just keeps going. Like he's got a whole production machine. This was a time when he wasn't all that prolific, and now he's doing multiple covers with these characters often. So there's no need for him to ever kind of pull this one back out. But I love it. It's gorgeous. I love the detail. I love the pose for Spider-Man. I love the hands on Spider-Man. Like it's I was very patient. So I never got this commission, and because when I got this, I called him right away and I said, or I emailed him. I didn't call him. I'm not that close friends with him. I emailed him and said, listen, I just picked this commission, and I'd love to change my commission. I'd love to, maybe have Black Cat caught in Spider-Man's web, and have Spider-Man work. She's still the hero, but Spider-Man's worked in somehow. And he's like, oh, that sounds like a lot of fun. Yeah, I got some ideas for that. And I was like, oh, this is great. So I got the commission that I originally wanted, but I still had a slot for my commission, or a commission.
Right.
And I would keep on it. Again, there's a 7-year kind of period. So by I think 2014, I'm like, hey, what's going on with the commission? Or maybe it's 12 or 13. I can't remember. I'm going to be at the show. Is it going to be ready? Can I pick it up? And he's like, oh, no, I'll tide you over. I'll give you a sketch of what that is. I'll show you a sketch. And I had told him to scan the inks first, because he was doing some tonal, some pencil pieces as well, just for shading. And they were looking really lovely. And I thought, maybe I want some of that in this one here. And so this is the sketch he gave me. And you can see at the top, it kind of says, scan inks first. And I fell in love with it. I was like, oh my God, it's going to be great. I never got this. Again, like I said, he canceled the commission. He did something similar. He showed this to Marvel, and they had said it's maybe a little too risque for the cover for us. And so he ended up changing the pose entirely. So Black Cat is more standing and Spider-Man's flipped upside down. And that piece went to another collector. And for him, it's like they're very different pieces. The same subject matter. They're both Black Cat's caught in a web. But, for him, that there was a delineation. I was I wish he would have offered me the other one. Then I would have had, something close to it. So sure. I never got it. But during this time, I didn't want to get any more Black Cats, because I'm like, I have one. I'm going to get another one. So I passed on this gorgeous Black Cat that I loved. So I'm like the third owner of this Black Cat that you're about to share. It was offered to me during the middle. And then after the commission had ended, I had money saved up because I was going to have that commission. And the next owner, the second owner of this piece, put it up for sale. And I'm like, I need to have this piece. I love this piece. And it's one of the oversized ones. So it's from the tall sketchbook. So it's really, really tall. So it's absolutely, it's gorgeous. It's got so much, nuance and details in it. It's one of the best faces he had done for Black Cat at the time. It's just one of those pieces that was just so stunning that you stare at it and your jaw drops, and it's ridiculously sexy as well. And this was like the last sexy Campbell piece I got. After this point, I started changing what I was collecting. But it's just stunning. Like the hair, the playfulness in her face. It also the adverse effect of this one here was the fact that because it was so oversized, I decided that I like 11, 17 pieces, because these are hard to store, and you can frame them, but then they're oversized, they take up a lot of room, and I didn't know how I was going to frame this or where I was going to put it, and so this was the one piece that I have that's just bigger than anything else. How do I store it? Right now, it's like
that was going to be my question too.
I've got it. I've got like archival black paper, and it lays on top of the archival black paper, and then I got more archival black paper on top of it, and it's under the bed in a plastic sleeve or on top of a plastic sleeve. It's just, and I have to pull when I pull it out to look at it. It's a lot more effort, because it's like it's impossible to store. I remember reaching out to other folks who have these same, like this is like, I don't know, it's like 24 by 7. It's huge. And so I've asked them, what do they do? And they're like the same thing. They're not sure how to store it. Some people have it framed, but a lot of people are like, yeah, I don't know what to do. I don't know how to store this thing either. But they're gorgeous to look at, and they're just like, because they're, they're just stunning. It's impressive.
What was the
big.
size of that? Because I remember the sketchbooks were really large, but
Yeah,
what was the size of the original?
I think it's a lot taller than I am at. I think it's about 23, 25 length. It's something like that in terms of its length. And width is probably close to 17, 18, 19. It might be 19 by 25 or something like that, or maybe a little less, 17 by 25. I can't remember. I'd have to go measure. I should know.
But it's not. But it's not on the wall though. You haven't.
It's not on the wall. Yeah, these are the only two that are on the wall.
Only two.
Yeah. So with that, at that point I was in love with. I love Spider-Man and Black Cat, so I started collecting more Spider-Man Black Cat. And this is how it's nice when I was pulling this together. It's really cool to see how your tastes change, like where you were. I mean, I still have a soft spot for Campbell. I think he's an amazing illustrator. But my art style changed. Like I started gravitating towards different things. So the next period of my collecting ended up focusing more on Black Cat, and I went back to eBay and I found this. I had recently purchased on eBay a cover for Gen 13. It was number 17. It's got Lynch, Burnout, and Grunge on the cover, and they're all getting shot out. Dave has it in his collection, and it's gorgeous. And it's one of those ones that I regret selling. So every time but I love seeing it in his collection because I know how much he loves Campbell as well. And so it's a joy every time I go to his portion of CAF and I just sit and I look at him like, yeah, I remember this cover. It's fantastic. I love it. But I ended up selling that cover to get this next piece at an eBay auction, and it was a Black Cat. But it wasn't just a Black Cat. It was a Black Cat by Jim Lee. And Jim Lee hasn't been doing any Marvel work for quite some time. And this was commissioned. So I'm the second owner of this piece, or caretaker of this piece. And what I always thought was interesting is like there's gargoyles, and you never really see in Manhattan some gargoyles. So this felt like it was Black Cat visiting Gotham with the gargoyles, and I love the snow. And the mask is a little Huntress-esque. It's a little, Miss Marvel. So there's some interesting choices, but it's Jim Lee doing Black Cat, and it's gorgeous, and it's got, because of the ink on it and the whiteout, it's got like nice textures in places. It's stunning, and it's nice to have a piece inked by Jim Lee, as well as I've got one that beautiful Superman page that my wife got me that is inked by Scott Williams. So it's nice to have both of them and see the contrast and what their approach is to their inking, over for Jim Lee himself, and then for Scott Williams how he interprets things. But yeah, it was well worth it. As much as I miss that Gen 13 cover, I do love this piece, and so it's one of the top ones that I have in my collection. I really enjoy it. So
that's beautiful. I love Jim's work, and you're right. You don't get to see him do characters outside of DC too often anymore, anyway. But so no, this is a great pickup. Congratulations. I love it. It's I don't know what the reason for the original commission was, or how it happened. I know it was through Albert Moy, and I know that the guy who sold it to me, or was putting it on eBay, I said, like, such a beautiful piece. I'm like, why are you selling this? Why would you sell this? And it's one of those unfortunate things. He's like, I need a new roof. And I was like, oh, that hurts. And so I happily took it from him, but I felt a little guilty about it because, I know he needed the money, and sometimes you're in those situations where you need to sell a piece. But I'm happy, and it's been in my collection for quite some time. So, I just checked. It's been in your CAF since 2012. So, so Brett wanted to know how many hands is it? How tall is that? Is it 11 by 17 or so? I've seen some. Okay. I've seen some 17. Of Jim's commission pieces that were bigger, like when he was.
It might be a little bit bigger. It fits an 11/17 portfolio, but it is snug.
Yeah, it might be like on a DC board or something like that, so it might be a little bit bigger. But no, that's awesome.
Yeah, it's really, really, really nice.
You know, and I have to tell everybody this. Eric did a lot of work putting together the images that he was going to have and kind of creating kind of the flow of all this. Because everybody knows we usually do we do 30 minutes of talking or 40 minutes of talking, and then we start showing art. But Eric has everything really laid out, and it's probably the designer, the work that you do during the day that kind of helped you structure kind of how we've set this up. But it's flawless. I'm going to hope everybody that I interview going forward. I'm going to say, go back and watch Eric's interview, and you'll see how things flow really well, and we get to show art, right from the beginning. So this is working out great. I just have to tell you, I'm really happy.
Cool. I know a lot of these shows. I don't know. I kind of, for me, the joy of it, at least, well, when I use it as a podcast and there's a lot of artwork, it's not so good. But the best part for me is seeing that artwork, because there's so many collectors that I don't know who they are, and I see them a lot in the chat, and I just want to see more of their artwork. And I feel bad that I halfway through I'm like, oh, I want to go to their site right now or their portion of CAF just to see what other work they have. So my goal is to kind of show almost all the great stuff that I think is great, and just kind of throw it all at everyone and say, hey, look, we're going to go rapid fire. Here's some work. And hopefully it'll be an interesting show. So thanks for allowing me to do that.
No, I'm thoroughly enjoying it, because it works. It's kind of flowing perfectly with your story as far as collecting and how you got started to where we are right now, which is still like 9 years ago when you picked up that piece. So
yeah,
very, very cool.
Yeah.
So where do you go from here?
A couple more black cats. You're going to see a couple more black cats. The next one is an Anthony story. So I went to Boston, and there was this black. He had a booth because he was selling stuff, and I kept going back. I went back one time, and I said, "Ooh, this black cat's really nice." And then I'm like, "Oh, okay, whatever." And I left. Came back. Ooh, I still really like this black cat. And this guy was next to me. He goes, "Yeah, it's a nice black cat." And I was like, "You thinking of getting it?" He's like, "I don't know." You thinking of getting it? I don't know. Okay. And we both left. and then I came back a third time, and Anthony looks at me and goes, listen, you've been here 3 times. You going to buy that or not? I'm like, well,
that's Anthony.
Yeah. I'm like, well, I'm thinking about it. He goes, what's to think about? Look at it. It's gorgeous. I'm like, yeah, I know it is. He's like, what's the hang up? I'm like, I don't know if I want to spend that much. He looks at me and goes, all right, you come back 3 times. What if I knock off $100? I'm like, deal. Goes, good. Okay. And that's it. And it was a Mike Deodato black cat. And Mike Deodato is not someone that I was, interested in all that much. I loved what he did with the Avengers and the Dark Avengers. I love the way he does blacks. And this piece, it was stunning. The way that the black was done. I'm like, oh man, this is amazing. I got this wonderfully Deodato, like Mike Deodato piece, and it's inked. It's fantastic. Then I get home and I look at it. This thing is not inked. He's using really heavy pencil, and you can see because of the flash of the camera, because I didn't scan this one, but you can see that or maybe I did scan it, but it still picked up. Like you can see the texture there, and that's because it's a really heavy pencil that he's just gone in there. And I'm like, how did he not smudge any of this? How did he do this? So I'm fascinated by the piece, and I'd love to have a conversation with him about how he achieved this. But I love the blacks. I love how black everything gets, and it's such a sharp contrast, like the way that he highlights or he picks how to use the black. It's like a really bright spotlight and some heavy shadows. And it's great, and the web itself is fantastic. So in a way, this was kind of like me getting the commission that I was looking for. Yeah, that's amazing, yes. Pat. Yeah.
Yes, exactly. And it's and Marcus has made a comment based on something that Neil Adams and I were talking about last Saturday about putting your wrists out. It works. So yeah, and but that's Anthony is a wheeler and dealer. He'll find a way to get you to walk away with that artwork one way or another. So yeah, Marcus says visit 30 times next time.
Yeah, that'd be amazing. I'll keep that in mind. I don't think it'll work, but hey, you never know. I'll give it a shot.
Well, you can wear them down, I think, over time.
Maybe.
But yeah, this is a great piece, and it's funny. Before when I because I had to work this up in Photoshop, of course, just to kind of put it the way I did, and I didn't notice that it was all pencils either. So he must have been using like a very high numbered, dark D pencil. I just can't even imagine what the effort to go into it and do it like that. Because I'll bet I'd bet money that Anthony probably didn't look close enough to know that it was all pencils either.
Yeah, maybe. I guess if I ever, I'd like to show it to him and ask him at some point, maybe. I usually, but when it's that dark, it's usually a very soft lead, so it'll
Yeah.
smudge quite easily. So the fact that it doesn't is, I don't know, maybe it was sprayed. I don't know. I have no idea. I'm very curious about how it was accomplished. So
Another
that's the
nice
story.
score though.
Yeah,
Yeah.
another
I
nice
like
story.
that. I like you and the other collector together though. That's
Yeah,
yeah.
it was hilarious. He didn't come back the third time though, so I guess that's why I got it.
Was it the last day of the show too? Because that's always a good play. Everybody goes
Yes.
back. Last day is that's funny. I don't think in any of the conversations I've ever had with any collectors that, but we all know it's true. Is you can go back a few times. So you go back on that last day when, especially if the dealer, because typically, I can tell you from my experience of hanging out with dealers at shows, day one and if it's San Diego for sure, opening night, preview night's always great. Thursday is usually pretty good because you get a bunch of new people coming in. Friday and Saturday, things kind of lull. Maybe on Saturday you get that one visitor who's coming in from out of the country and makes a lot of purchases, in one swoop. But usually Friday and Saturday are kind of slow. Sunday, that's the day to get things done. So it's always good if you can wait and wait them out. Usually Sunday is the day you're gonna get a couple $100 off on pieces, and it is when the dealers want, because it's one less thing to take home too. So they're trying to lighten the load one way or another.
Well, he had so much at that convention. Like this one sheet of paper gone, it wasn't gonna
not for
Anthony all
Anthony.
that much.
No, not for him. He usually brings things off of his walls in his home when he goes to a show. If he thinks he can sell it, it's going with him. He doesn't like a lot of like if you work with a rep, for instance, when I go to a show with Mark Hay, he typically he can't bring everything, right? Because he's a rep. He's got tens of thousands of pages, right? 20,000 pages, and so he'll focus on the guys that are going to be at that show. But a guy like Anthony or a guy like Berkey or Albert, because Albert has rep, he does rep, but guys like Anthony, he's just got to bring everything and always bring everything because he doesn't know what people are going to buy. And I guarantee he doesn't look and say, oh, George Perez is there, I'm going to bring all my George Perez folders. No, he's just going to bring all the George Perez folders no matter where he's going, whether George is there or not.
I mean, they've got such amazing, like they've got like they have so much volumes of work. I'd love to know, is this pencil work that heavy on? I just saw the comment. Is it that heavy on?
Lucky.
I'm just curious. Is it as heavy on yours as well, or is it a little bit lighter? I'm just curious. Or is it inked, or if it's just penciled art, like how heavy is it? I don't know if you could comment on that. I'm just curious if this one was unique or if that's just a standard for him.
We'll find out. Mr. Easy Go Lucky is a regular in the chat.
Yeah, totally is.
He will let us know. But cool. No, I mean that. But again, I love con stories. I mean that's where, that's why I miss cons. I mean what we've been doing online is fun, but just being able to hang out, interact. I know that feeling too. Like especially when you're say you go to an artist table at a show and you know that there's a collector waiting right behind you to look at the same portfolio you're looking at. You get a little nervous. You're thinking. I might have to buy it, or the guy behind me, is going to pick this up. So there's a lot of dynamics that happen at shows. So
it's true.
I miss that a lot.
I've kind of blissfully missed most of that in a way because I'm always like, oh, that's not a lot of the stuff is out of my budget. Oh, yours are heavy too. Okay, so it's just what he does. I usually go in with a budget, and I'm pretty strict about it because I don't want to overstretch myself. I don't like pulling out a credit card to put the work on. I did that. I tried to do that one time, and it was with Albert Moy. It was a gorgeous Batman page, and it's one of those ones that I regret not getting. I went to go pay with my credit card, and I thought I could take the artwork right away. And he says, "No, I'll mail it to you." And I was like, "But I want it now. I just paid with my credit card, and then I'll take it now." And he's like, "Well, I have to make sure it goes through." I'm like, "Well, I can wait until Sunday or whatever, to make sure that you got confirmation. But I'd like to take it home because I live in Canada, so I just want to go from San Diego to Canada and know that it's in my possession, as opposed to at the time I had seen a couple stories where things got lost in the mail, and I was like, oh, I don't know if I want to take that chance. I'd rather, you could lose luggage too, but I somehow it's like it's here. I know where it is. It's where it's supposed to be. So I never ended up buying it. Instead, I ended up buying another Campbell because I
So he
I
said,
had the money.
so was it a Sunday? And so he just didn't.
No, it wasn't. It was it was because I went to his booth on I think it was a Friday,
Mhm.
and yeah, it was a Friday, and or maybe it was Saturday. It could have been Saturday, so it might have been.
But either way,
it wasn't Sunday.
he was willing to charge the card, but wasn't willing to give you the art until
Yeah.
he knew that it was going to be in his account. Okay,
Yeah.
that's I don't know why that's I don't know.
Maybe he didn't want to sell me the piece. I don't know.
Maybe right. He was making it. Yeah, he was giving you a high hurdle. But no, I've never heard of anything like that. I mean, a credit card charge. I mean, you as the merchant are pretty well protected.
Yeah.
I would think so. Yeah, that's
my thought
peculiar.
is like, I was kind of confused because I can go to the corner store and use my credit card and get the money instantly. But maybe the convention had bad connections and it wasn't maybe the volume. I'm not too sure.
Yeah, you never know. I'll have to ask Albert about that the next time I talk to him.
Yeah.
What's your policy? I just buy on people using credit cards at shows. I won't mention it if it was you. He doesn't watch these. So, but Mickey mentions that Deodato pencils aren't always that dark. So maybe it might just depend on the project.
Maybe
it's like he says. Yeah.
It's curious. I'm very curious about it. All right, I think I got one more Black Cat to share, and this one here is by Jay Lee, and I got on his commission list, and I kept going back, and like I got on it on Friday, and Saturday he was too busy, he didn't get to it. Sunday he hadn't gotten to it. He's like, "Oh, I'll get it to Sunday afternoon. I'll get it Sunday afternoon." So Sunday afternoon around 3:00, I'm going by his area, and it's not done. He says, "I got it in pencils. I got it sketched. I haven't had a chance to ink it." He goes, "But since you've already paid for it, I will take it home, I will finish it, and I'll mail it to you." And I thought, wow, that's amazing. I'd love that. He never charged me for the shipping. And I was like, he should have charged me for the shipping. But so he kind of went out of his way to do this for me, finish it, and send it to me at his cost. And that kind of floored me. I need to get another commission from him. One, as a thank you, but also because I love his art. I mean, I love the way he does hair and I guess fur in this one here. I love how creepy the webbing that's coming off of her is. Even Spider-Man looks kind of creepy. And which is, one of those things I like. McFarlane, I know he liked to draw Spider-Man just a little bit creepier. So when Spider-Man gets a little bit creepier like this, I always find it very fascinating. But I love the angle, and this is one of my favorite pieces that I own. I guess I just really love what Jay Lee's been like, his art style lately. Like his has been a slower change, but what he's doing right now is my absolute favorite. Like I think it's the best that he's done. So I just love this piece. It's so cool.
On this one, what was the so he took it home? I mean,
yeah, he took it home. How long?
Yeah.
Okay. So I've only had an artist take 2 pieces, and that's the thing. After the Campbell thing, I'm like, oh, he's going to take. I'm never going to see this thing. Like it'll be months from now, and I'll never see it. I think he took 3 months, two or 3 months. It wasn't that bad.
Not bad. No.
So I had the same thing. I got a Black Cat painted piece by Paulo Rivera, and he at the same time he did. It was a couple months as well. So it was both great experiences. If it's an ink wash, I don't know. I think it might be like light. It's all ink, and there's some ink wash in her costume and on Spider-Man. And in the background, it looks like it's just like, I don't know, if you put ink on a towel or like a paper towel very lightly and just kind of go really quickly. It's very faint. It comes out really dark here, but it's not as dark as it's coming out. Yeah. So it was great. Like if that was fast, I had no comparison for how fast that was. But again, I love it almost looks like there's a sloppiness to it, but it's so gorgeous. It's just so interesting to look at all the strokes from the brush. Like it's just, I stare at this one a lot.
That's beautiful. I mean, I love Jay's work. I always have. And I used to actually have a nice Century cover with Spider-Man on it from like Century 2 or 3 or whatever. And I sold it, but it was always one of my favorite Jay Lee pieces, and it had, and Spider-Man too at the time, which wasn't something I think he had done a lot of, and I love that piece. But yeah, the things we let go of sometimes. But no, it's a really great piece, and a good turnaround, because sometimes you hear about, oh, I'm going to take it home from the show because they've got it roughed out, and then maybe you don't see it till the next show. So getting it in 2 or 3 months is really good.
Yeah, and maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it was 4 or 5. I can't. It was. Listen, I waited 7 years for the Campbell Commission, so anything shorter than that, I was like, oh my god. So, but I know that Paulo was the shortest. Paulo was definitely 2 months. He knocked it out. It was just a head sketch too. It wasn't or painted, but it was a painted head. And if you're curious, you'll have to go on my site, on my portion of to check that one out, because I did not pass that one along to Bill. The next art. Now at this point here, I felt like I'd gotten enough Black Cats, so I wanted to explore getting different things. And the next portion I call these are sketches. These aren't published pieces. They're just sketches, and they're from they have different styles. I wanted to see if I can get stuff from different interesting collectors. So the first one was Matteo Scalera. So I met Matteo. Besides Humberto Ramos, they're like 2 of the friendliest people you'll ever meet at cons. Like, everyone's friendly at cons. Humberto is like crazy, the nicest creator that I've met, and it's ludicrous that I don't own a really nice published piece by him. But I got this from Matteo. I saw Matteo at a con. He had this. It was already done, kind of like Campbell, how he had the Faces sketchbook. So he had this as a piece in his book that he had prepared prior to the show that he was going to be selling. He had a couple pieces like this, and these are 9x12s, and I was like, oh my god, this is gorgeous. Like, this is one of the most powerful images of of Colossus that I've seen. Like, the weight on the foot, the billowing of the smoke, all the rubble, and even the background. Even though it's just like, it's kind of sloppy and sketchy, it just creates a form and a shape, and it just creates this wonderful energy. And I love that one little rock that's kind of jumping in front of him. It's just kind of like, you can see that little bounce. I just thought, this is a gorgeous piece. I didn't buy it. I looked at it, and I was just drooling over it. And I was like, man, that's gorgeous. He goes, you should buy it. And I was like, yeah, I know. Okay. But I didn't. But I saw him I think he was at 2 cons. I think I saw him at Boston, and then I saw him at Fan Expo in Toronto. And the piece, it was still there. And then he saw me, and I saw him, and he goes, you're gonna get it today, right? And I'm like, yes, I am. So I ended up purchasing it from him. And then I think I said, okay, now that I've purchased it, but can I also get a commission too? So I ended up getting a commission from him as well, which was, I think it was a Black Cat, and I've sold it since. But I love this piece. So this was my entry into Matteo's world. And if you're ever at a con and Matteo is there, get him to do it. He does the best con sketches. They're always, this is amazing quality for a con sketch. And he does these very quickly. Like, he'll do like, I don't know, 10 a day like this, and he just whips them out. And it's just, I've sat there watching him do it, and it's just, I don't know how he's so fast at doing these, and they all look great. And if you look at a lot of the sketches that he's done on CAF, there's so many of them, and they're just all ridiculously good. So that's it. So Matteo remembered me, and he didn't pressure me into buying it. He knew that I was going to get it. He knew I wanted it. So I was really happy that it was still available by the time I got to being able to pick it up.
Yeah, so and in your CAF gallery, you have another piece by Matteo as well.
Yeah, I that was like I guess the following year at Fan Expo, I got a Wolverine, and I've been itching he hasn't come back to Toronto. Family grew. I have 3 kids now, and so I haven't been making it. We haven't been doing family trips. We did one to Chicago for C2E2 one year, and I didn't actually end up going to the con. It was more, I said, you know what, I'm going to make this more of a family trip. And I just decided that maybe going to cons because at that point I'd be leaving my wife with 3 kids. Or I could take a couple of the kids with me, but they're really young, and I could take the older ones or the oldest one. And then I always feel guilty that we weren't all doing something together. So I stopped that. But we ended up going to, a few cities. We never got to. I wanted to go to San Diego one more time, and then San Francisco, but those never happened. I mean, I've been by myself, but never as a family.
Well, no, I really like this image, and I'm a big X-Men fan. So as a
Yeah.
Colossus doesn't really ever get too many cool con sketches, right? And I saw that one. I'm like, man, I know it's not a con sketch, but the thing is, it's just a beautiful image. It's not what you would normally expect him, as far as a pose or something that somebody would draw just for fun or even for a sketchbook. So, so no, wonderful pickup.
And that is the quality of his con sketches, though. Like, don't be fooled. Like, they're always really well done. So,
while you were talking, I had another screen loaded up, and I was looking at. I just did a CAF search for his work, and there is a lot of his work on there, and a lot of convention sketches too.
Yeah.
And they're really, really sharp. I've actually never seen him in a show, so I've never seen any of his work in person before.
I guess I was lucky between like 2012 and 2014 to. He was a lot of shows that I remember talking to him, and he's like, I asked him if he was going to come back to Boston. He goes, I don't know, the Boston show wasn't that great for me. And I'm like, what are you talking about? You were doing sketches like crazy, but I guess maybe, he's coming all the way from Italy, and it wasn't that, it wasn't that great for him. He did enjoy Toronto apparently, though. I said, good, that means I'll see you again. And he came back, and that's when I got the Wolverine. And I kind of want to get a few more, but I also want to get some published pages, like what he did with the his what is it, Book of Spies, that's just come out. It looks phenomenal. And his Harley Quinn book, I wanted to get a bunch of pages from that, but all the good ones they went so fast. But his ink washes in that book, it's almost like this. It's very painterly almost. It's just stunning. He's always at ends. Oh, okay, so maybe I have to go to New York again.
Twist your arm.
Yeah. Hey, I love what he does. He's fantastic. Next, we're going to something entirely different than what we've seen so far. The next couple of pieces are kind of, I want to explore fun stuff. This next one isn't something that I commissioned. It's Scotty Young. He does daily sketches, and it was really nice. He always does crazy stuff. And it's always what you don't expect. He just does a lot of pop culture stuff, or he'll riff on, other characters. And, I just collected all of Jeff Smith's Bone all the way through. And I thought it was wonderful. I got the hardcovers, and you don't really expect anybody but Jeff Smith to do Bone, because he's so good at drawing Bone. And Jeff Smith has great line work. And I saw this piece, and it was up for sale on CAF, and I was like, oh my God. Look at this is ridiculously cute. I love that even the he's in love with Thorn, and that's like coming out of the speech bubble. It's perfect. I never expected it to be this cool, and it's a treasured piece. I just love Scotty Young's line work. I have another Scotty Young piece that I got from him. I remember asking for a Rhino piece. And I said, I kind of want Spider-Man worked in. And I said, like maybe like his webbing on the Rhino's horn. And he's like, yeah, okay. And then he came back, and if you go to my site, you'll see that it's Spider-Man's foot kicking him in the face, and there's teeth and blood coming out. He's like, yeah, I didn't think like the webbing of just the thwip on his horn was enough. So I did this. And I'm like, you know what? I love it. It's fine. It's awesome. This is great. But the line work again in that is just like what he does with a brush. I love it. He's not afraid to put down thick lines as well as really nice, thin, delicate lines. There you go. Yeah. Like, again, I just love some of the thick lines on the horns. And I asked for a colored piece, but then, the parts on where the neck is, like those chunky brush parts. But yeah,
Scotty's great, and he's a joy to talk to. I mean, he's such a very positive person. He's funny, right? And it always shows in his work, of course. But yeah, no, that's classic.
Yeah, I love that piece too. It's fantastic stuff. And then I kind of I always thought about, it'd be cool if I could find an artist and get a bunch of pieces by them. Sometimes, musicians will have concept albums. So they'll go, okay, well, this album is all about this theme, and then every song will be something like that. And I thought, oh, it'd be cool if I actually got like, I don't know, like 12 pieces from somebody, and they all centered around a single theme. And so, but I need someone who, is willing to do the work and is good at drawing that character and is willing to just entertain my this weird thought that I had. So I met up with Ramon Perez at Fan Expo, and I was privileged enough to see him like 3 times right in a row. There was a convention in Toronto, then one in Niagara Falls, and then I think one in Hamilton, which is just about an hour away from Toronto, 40 minutes, something like that. It's not too far. And so I talked to him. I said, I'd love to get a Wolverine sketch from you. And he's like, yeah, well, what do you want? I'm like, at first I'm like, maybe on a motorcycle, fixing a motorcycle or something, doing something mundane. He goes, motorcycle is a lot of work. And I'm like, oh yeah, I guess that's right. It's so, okay, hold on. Let me rethink about this. I said, okay, what about again, I want to do the mundane things. What about him doing laundry? He's like, okay. So I got him to do that. And then I said, I had him do another one. I said, what about him ironing? And so he did this one for me. And I love this one. This is my favorite of the 3. I got another one of him having Wolverine change a light bulb. And if I ever see him again, it's going to be him cooking on a stove. And of course, there's going to be fire everywhere, and he's going to be putting it out. I throw ideas at him, and he's like, yeah, okay, let's do that. But I love this one. I love even the belt. The belt just kind of draped over. And I love that it's a mini ironing board. I don't know. I find humor in this. I think it's hilarious. But I love the iron, the perfect iron right through. And every time he's just going to be saying "son of a," and that's it. And it's I don't know. It's great. And he's using the claw to hold it up. Like, it's just, I don't know. It's really playful. It's fun. And so my thought, I think at one time I said, okay, can I commission you to just do 10 of these right now? Because I was in love with them so much. And you can see, I think this is from 2013. I think I got one in 2014, and I haven't really seen him since. But here's the washing, the laundry, and it's like he says the blood doesn't really ever get out.
Nothing really does get the blood out.
Yeah. So I got him to do that, and then there's a change in the light bulb, and it's nice because Wolverine's Canadian, so he's drinking a Molson. It's just like the light bulb in the head, in the face, and the little wires. Like, they're just fun. I wanted to create a series of these, and so I plan to keep going if he'll still indulge me in this, strange adventure that I'm trying to do with these. I just like the way he draws Wolverine.
They're great.
So, and they're fun. Like, they're just for me. That's it. And in the end, I'm like, I put a book together. If he just like a whole bunch of them, put a little book together. It'd be fun. Mm-hmm. So there you go. Wolverine doing mundane things by Ramon Perez. So while I was in Boston, same show that I was talking to Matteo, and the one that Anthony was like, "You're gonna buy this or what?" I ended up walking by a booth, and sometimes you say something out loud, but really it was supposed to be your inside voice. So I'm walking by Bill Sienkiewicz's table, and I'm like, "Hey, I know you," but I'm like, in my head, I'm like, hey, "This is a name that I'm familiar with, that I know," and so he just looked at me and he goes, "You do you?" I'm like, "Well, yeah. I mean, I'm sorry. Are you doing sketches?" He's like, "Yeah, I'm doing sketches." I'm like, "I'd love to get a sketch from you." And he's like, "Well, what would you like?" And I'm like, "Spider-Man." And he looks at me and goes, "Spider-Man?" I'm like, "Yeah." He's like, "Huh, okay, Spider-Man." And he goes, "People usually ask me for Elektra or Moon Knight or Daredevil or, Spider-Man." Okay. I'm like, I've never seen, I mean, I haven't picked up every book that you've ever done, but I don't think I've ever recalled seeing a Spider-Man. And he's like, "I don't do Spider-Man often." So he did a Spider-Man for me, and I didn't know what to expect. And what he gave me was this sketch that I just looked at, and I was like, wow, like this guy, like, I don't know what little sketch at the top is and it's coming down, but the way he was drawing it, it was like water flowing. Like, he was just like kind of just grooving, and it was just masterfully done. And I thought, this is such a cool sketch. It's again, and I still haven't, I don't think I've found anything that he's done by Spider-Man, like with Spider-Man in it. It's not something I don't think he does often. So to get this, I thought to me was a treat. And this is one of those gambles. You never know what you're going to get. You never know if you're going to get, because I've had, again, like I've mentioned before, I've had artists do, something that they're not generally comfortable or known for, and it's gone awry. But this was one of those ones where I went against type, but he's Bill Sienkiewicz. I know he's going to do something interesting. He always does something interesting. Like the guy is just, I don't know how he does it, but everything he does has just got this cool edge to it. And this is one of those ones where I just thought, man, I really dig this. I like it's quirky. It's stylish. I don't know. I like it. So this is one of those pieces that's just in my sketchbook. I think it's cool.
No, it's very good. I was trying to see how much work is on CAF. There isn't a lot. I remember he did that Spider-Verse cover that I think is in Michael Lovett's collection. But
when was that?
which is let's see, when did I see that? I think I saw it at San Diego 3 years ago, or maybe I'm thinking New York 3 years ago. I just remember it was in Sal. It must have been New York, because it was in Sal Avenatti's booth with the Alex Ross stuff too. But I remember it was shown there and bought at that show as well. So, but yeah, that's do a search on CAF for Sienkiewicz and Spider-Man. I know it'll turn up.
I will. I think I got that in like 2013 or something like that. Like it was a while ago, and anyways, it's I think it's really cool. There's just 2 more sketches, and then we're going to get to published pages to cruise out the night.
Mm-hmm.
So the next one is by Tony Moore, and I got this at Fan Expo, and I got up to him in line, and he says, "What are you looking for?" And I just gave him 3 words, and I said, "Rick, zombie, blammo," and he just giggled, and he's like, "Yeah, okay." And he came back with this, and I'm like, this is so cool, because the shotgun blast, and then contrasting with all the heaviness around it, and like this is all. I don't know if he's using Conte or something to get the sort of that rougher technique, or if it's just a very soft pencil. But it's really cool. Like, and I was excited to get on his list, and there's only one thing that I don't understand about this piece, and this is my most viewed piece on CAF in my collection. It's like 5,000 ahead of the next piece, which is my number 2 permanent collection piece, which is the Campbell. No, is it Campbell's Anything Swinging? I can't remember, but it's number 2 by like 5,000 by a wide margin, and I can't for the life of me it baffles my mind. I'm always interested in what people like, because I like all the stuff that I have. I mean, I wouldn't share it if I didn't like it, and I wouldn't ask for it if I didn't want it. But I'm always fascinated as to what people comment on and what they like. And this one here gets the most views, and it's always been a curiosity of mine as to people tend to, I guess, really like this one, and I think it's great, but I think I have other ones that are a little bit cooler, but this one it's pretty damn cool. I'm not trying to say that this isn't a cool piece, because it's a pretty damn cool piece.
Yeah, you never know. I mean, and sometimes it's Google, their search might point to this more often, for something like Rick shoots zombie art, and or something along those lines, and that's all you need, right? Because maybe it doesn't draw, and but again, you just never know. I've seen very strange things happen sometimes, or maybe it was linked on a forum for The Walking Dead, and so you end up getting a lot of fans
maybe
just from the TV show coming back and looking at it. I think I talked about this last night about something like Hakes once posted some Movie Monster covers to promote their auction, and some Movie Monster forum had posted about it. Wow, there's these cool original artworks of these old magazine covers. And because I was like, why are these pieces getting so many views? And I looked on my Google Analytics, and there's this site I've never heard of, like monsterforum.com. I'm like, what the heck is monsterforum.com? Driving people to comic art fans, for God's sakes. And sure enough, it was all going into Hake's main page, so people could look at these images. So you just never know. And because it could be something on Reddit. I've seen Reddit, it only happens 4 times a year. but if somebody who has a big following on Reddit will post about a particular artwork on CAF, I mean, we could get, rather than like say 10,000 unique people during the a given day to come to CAF, it'll be 20,000. But of course, it only raised the page view count by 10 because all these people just came in and looked at that one piece of art. But it's just amazing what others, what influencers and other sites out there can have on your site as far as like making something popular for a day or a week or a month or whatnot. So, but you never know. I mean, that's a great piece. I mean, Tony Moore is a fantastic artist. Yeah, it deserves the views that it's got. And like you said, I was just looking at ordering everything in your gallery by most views. And you're right, it's like 5,000 over the Campbell. I forget which one the Baron was.
Which Campbell is it?
It's the Danger Girl, Sydney Savage. The kind of frontal facing one. Yeah, the sketch, exactly. And then the Jungle Fairchild one was the next one, very close to that one.
Yeah, it's fascinating to me. Actually, both of those pieces as being the main ones. It's fascinating to me because it's like the ones that I like. It's an interest that they don't have that much views, but they're the ones that I love. So it doesn't. I mean, I love them all, but if I had to pick my three, like I have my three that I would pick, and they don't have that many views, but that's okay. Like I still love them, but I'm always it's fascinating what other people are interested in.
Right. No. Well, it's true. And with all the art getting posted to CAF, I mean, sometimes, in a given day, I mean, usually there's about between 200 and 300 pieces of art every day getting posted. So it's amazing that, sometimes certain things that you think are great get overlooked. And we all see that, like, why didn't my artwork get more views? But it's a challenge on a site like CAF to kind of get views on things that deserve more views. I mean, it is, it's something I get, I think about, and I can't fight my own way out of that box to figure out how to get the pieces that deserve more views.
Yeah. Well, views for me, likes, it doesn't necessarily matter. For me, it's more like a statistics thing. So I'm just fascinated I'm just curious by what the trends are and what people like. Because again, every piece that I have on my CAF, I like. I'm not one of these people who hides pieces that I've got a piece and as soon as I get a piece, I'm like, I gotta show it. So it just goes straight on, just because I love it so much. And I'm like, I want to share it with the world. But I also use CAF a lot as sometimes I don't want to pull out the portfolio and I can just go on my site and when you're a premium member, like getting the nicer scans, like I don't know why I resisted so many years not becoming a premium member. Like now I'm like, this is the stupidest thing like, why didn't I do it right away? Like and so I'm sorry, Bill.
No, trust me. I've never strong-armed anybody for doing premium memberships, but that was part of, it's like if somebody's willing to support the site, I'm willing to allocate more drive space, right, and give everybody better images and whatnot. And so, but no, it's never been a you gotta be a premium member kind of thing. We always just appreciate any support we get from people. And the thing is, to me, even when you're not premium, the fact that you're sharing your collection on CAF, that's kind of a gift in and of itself. It just shows that, we're the right place to be showing your collection. Maybe you're not ready. Maybe, in a lot of ways, I think some people just don't even know that it's there. I know it's part of the menus in different ways, but again, I don't strong arm people. I don't send out mailings like, hey, you should be a premium member. You've got 100 pieces in your gallery and you've been a member on the site for 10 years and you've never become a premium member. I think most regular sites would do that, right?
Maybe, yeah.
At least try to extol the great reasons why you should do it. I've never been good at instructions, and I've never been great at marketing either. But yeah, it's all good. Nobody should ever feel bad about not doing it or delay to do it. We've once we started doing the Comic Art Live shows, that there were people who've never supported CAF and had been on the site since 2003, 2004, never were premium, became premium to get the 2 hours early access to the show, right? So it's like you got to find something that is meaningful to people. It's not all about just supporting it or whatnot. Everybody knows I get by with the work that we do, pretty well at the end of the day. So I don't I don't begrudge people who don't want to do it. I'm just glad we still always get like, 30, 40 signups a day. A lot of times, it's just people who want to leave a comment or send an email to somebody because they have to have that. But I feel like we're still a relevant place online, even without with all the social places that you could be posting your artwork and everything. CAF has managed to kind of keep its niche, and continue to thrive, even though, and we're almost 19 years old now. So it's amazing. We definitely have outlasted a lot of other similar sites that have come along, that were early in this century. So very happy for that.
That's amazing. But for me, I forgot that the images were bigger. I couldn't understand why on some people's galleries they had nice, big, beautiful images, and mine were small. And then it clicked in, and that was. And now I'll never go back, because when you can see your images that big, it's like, that alone is fantastic. That's to me, that was the price of admission.
Oh yeah, no, I always felt like that was, and that's the question I get asked a lot by non-premium members. They'll say, how come I don't have that expand option? Why can't I click on my, and maybe I don't recognize the name, but I always go check, are they premium? And then maybe they're scanning their scans too small, and be like, no, they're not premium. And then I have to email them and I say, well, if you're premium, you get a 2,000 pixel maximum size, but if you're not premium, it's only 800. And I'm sorry, that's just kind of how it works. And sometimes it convinces them to go premium, and other times not. But definitely when they're selling and they want to sell, that usually, and they want to use the classifieds, that's usually kind of a tipping point, because most of the buyers want to see a better scan. And so people who've been using the site for free to try to sell, that usually kind of nudges them into all right, I'll go premium just because the bigger scans are going to help me close the deal.
Mm-hmm. Cool.
So. It's even Steve down there. He says 2-hour early access, at least, CAFCOM was enough to get me a piece. And yeah, exactly. I mean, I always enjoy doing that. Welcome to the show, intro that I do before we do our first panel, because I've been watching the sales happen in the first 2 hours. And I like talking about that, because I figure that's an exclusive access. So I'm able to say how we've already got $350,000 in sales in the first 2 hours, and half of you people watching me today didn't have that chance to get that art. So I mean, whatever. Yeah, at the end of the day, I enjoy every member on CAF, premium or not. So let's see.
So, all right, next.
Sorry to divert you on that one.
No, it's all good. Hey, we needed that middle, because we're gonna finish strong here. Last sketch. This is someone like Tim Sale. When I first saw him doing Batman, I was like, who is this guy? What is this Batman? What is this? And then I looked at it again, and I was like, actually, this is kind of interesting. And then the more I looked at it, just him on Batman, I was like, you know what? This is like his style for Batman. He's carved out, like, instantly that this is Tim Sale. He's got he's left a definitive mark on the character in terms of the style. It's beautiful. It's very noir. It's just, I'm in love with it. But I know this is one of those guys where, as an artist, I was like, why are they letting him do this? He is one of the best that ever has. Like, because you're used to that classically trained, like you're used to a Neil Adams Batman. You're used to even Jim Aparo, like these guys who had like beautiful form. And Tim Sale kind of like broke that. He just kind of went out of the lines and just started doing his own thing here. And I was just floored by it. So I needed to get a sketch by him. And I was lucky enough I think he had like these tickets, at a convention. And if you got one of those 6 tickets on that day, you got a sketch. And I just walked up to him, and somehow I think someone came by and like threw their ticket. They didn't want it anymore. So I said, can I have that? So he's like, yeah, sure. And so I said, okay, this is my ticket. When can I get a sketch? And he's like, okay, I'll do it right now. And so he did it right there. And a lot of people said that, like, I had heard stories that he was like, kind of, a bit of a grumpy guy, but it was a wonderful experience for me. And it could have been just because I happened to get a ticket to get a sketch, and it all worked out for me. But I mean, I love this. I kind of it's very small. It's like, I think it's on 8.5 by 11. So I've been looking and wanting a nice, 11/17 Batman. So that's still on my list of things to get.
a published piece or just another commission or something?
It could either way.
Yeah.
For him, I don't care. Like Campbell, I don't care if it's published or not. Like some guys, it's not a big deal for me. I just really like his take on Batman. So, I mean, if it's a published piece, cool. If it's not, if it's something like this and it just happens to be a bit bigger, that's cool too. So, yeah. So I'm still kind of looking for. There's some pieces that I saw that I was like, ooh, my money's been put in other places at the time, and it hasn't lined up yet. But one day it'll line up. I was looking at the cover for Long Halloween that was on I'm like, oh my god, if that's the price for a cover now, I'm out. I can't. That's way beyond what I can afford.
You're gonna have to stick with commissions and
yeah.
That's a really great cover though too. So it's gonna command a premium. But yeah,
sure.
Tim's work is pretty sought after. But again, timing was everything on that particular score. You picked up the ticket that somebody else didn't want. And I like that. I mean, I think Perez he did that quite often. Like he would do a drawing sometimes for to get a sketch opportunity with them at shows, and it was always fun. People would kind of pile around his booth when he did it, and he would draw the tickets. And I've done a few of those with Marquet when he had Charlie Adlard in the booth, and first the same kind of things. He's only taking 6 convention sketches for the day. He's only in the booth one day. They handed out tickets like the first hour of the show and said, everybody come back at 11. They drew the tickets. You had to be there to get to pay for the slot. And those are always fun though. It makes shows interesting to do things like that.
And usually on these cases, I usually lose out. Like I've been fortunate to get the ones, and I'm talking about the ones that I've been fortunate enough to that the luck has fallen my way. But a lot of the times the luck does not fall my way. I mean, lots of times I've gotten in line. I'm just looking for a signature by Jim Lee, and it gets cut off right at me. Or you're in line, and it's like, you want to sketch? Okay, cut off. And it's like I'm the cut off. Like the person in front of me is the last person who's gonna get that. Like that's happened to me. I can't even tell you how many times. So whenever I get these little celebrations, I feel like the universe came me back. On this day, the universe just happened to drop some guy just didn't want his ticket anymore, and I guess I don't know. He's tired. I don't know why. He just didn't want it anymore, and so I was able to take it. So I took a spot. So it worked out.
Very well for you.
Yeah, it worked out. It worked out great.
So now we're going to talk about some published pieces.
Published pieces. This one. So this is a birthday gift to myself. This next piece. Michel Rabligatti is a French-Canadian artist. He's from Montreal. He's got a bunch of semi-biographical books, and it's like it's a character called Paul. So he'll have like Paul gets a summer job, Paul goes fishing, and they're just nice vignettes. And that French Canadianness, me being French Canadian, it feels like every time I read one of these, it feels like I'm just hanging out with my aunts and uncles and my cousins. But this particular piece, this is from his last book called Paul at Home, and there's this. I had a neighbor when I moved into this house. I had a neighbor next door, and he said, we moved in. There was a lot of yard work to do, so I was doing yard work, and I got a lot of these waste bags, and I was putting them at the end of the street. And I knew that Monday was when the pickup was going to happen, but I put them up on Friday, so they were going to be there Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and then they'd be picked up on Monday. Well, he's telling me, he comes out, he goes, listen, you can't put those at the end of the street. You can't do that. Someone's going to call the cops on you. And I'm like, wait, you're going to call the cops? Who's going to call the cops? Obviously, you're going to call the cops on me. This is ridiculous. So when I eventually he moved away, and you don't have to deal with it. So you can just put your waste bag, garbage with all the leaves in it and clippings and whatnot at the end of the street. It's not a big deal. Nobody cares. But this strip here, the last three, the bottom 3 panels, I love the detail in the first one. Again, he's one of these guys that he'll it's cartoony, but he'll give you that sense of space, and he'll put in the effort and a lot of detail. But the little neighbor here, he says, come here. And he's really mad. He's mad because there's one little branch from Paul's bush that's touching his fence, and he's angry. And he wants Paul to cut it off. And he's like, well, if you're so mad, you cut it off. He's like, no, you got to cut it off. I know the law. it's just, it made me smile. It reminded me of this moment. And so I'm like, I have to get this page. It's just, I love the detail in it, but those last 3 panels just made me smile. So this was an early birthday present in 2019. Yeah, something like that. Yeah, 2019. So that was my happy birthday present. And it was really, I've been looking at his stuff for a long time, and I've wanted to own something by him. And since I've noticed that he's very underrepresented on CAF, I figured I will do my part and share it on CAF, because I think this is really cool. And he's a fantastic illustrator. Just wonderful. So that's the story behind that one.
I love that page.
It's really nice. It's nice. I mean, there's some French in it too, because it just happened to be that his neighbor's English, and that's why he's speaking English. All right.
Reminds me of like, have you ever heard of Durf?
Durf,
the
no.
illustrator, Durf, the actor. Yeah, I've got a piece by him, but I'll send you some links. He's kind of reminiscent in the storytelling. You know, he's all about. He's from the Cleveland area, where I grew up and everything. So his stories are very, very grounded, similar to that. So you'd probably be interested in some of his work.
I like those. Like, again, that's just a slice of life. I like slice of life. I like and Paul's stories are fantastic. It's just about him going up to a cottage, and being there and dealing with the headaches of family, or him falling in love at a summer job as a camp counselor, and being ill prepared, or him moving out and going to the big city and not knowing what's around. Like, they're just nice little vignettes, nice little stories, and they're just fantastic. But it's very French Canadian, so I don't know if a lot of the stuff will go over your head. I'd be curious if Ruben's read a bunch of them.
Oh, I would imagine Ruben would have. Yeah, sure.
So maybe if not, he should. Ruben, if you're watching this, you should. If you haven't. Okay, last pieces. So 4 pieces by the same artist. Why? Because when I came into this hobby, Campbell was going to be my guy, and I was in love with him, and it was great. So during the pandemic, or pre-pandemic, I was collecting issues by Sean Gordon Murphy. I mean, I have The Wake. I've read Joe the Barbarian, Chrononauts, Tokyo Ghost. I hadn't finished Tokyo Ghost. I had like the first trade, but I hadn't gotten the second one yet. So I was collecting along the way, and then he did Batman White Knight, and I collected the issues, and I was like, cool. I read the first 2, and I was like, oh, this is really interesting. And then I collected the rest, and I just left them on my nightstand. And I don't know, I'm sure everyone's like this. You collect a bunch of stuff you don't get around to doing. Then you get some graphic novels, and then your pile is like really high, and then you have to break it up. You put some on the floor because it looks embarrassing because it's going to topple over. I mean, I just read something a little while ago from 2003 that I hadn't gotten to yet. So I'm trying to clear it out. So I had the entirety of White Knight, and then I was going to the store, and Curse of the White Knight was out. Now, for me, I didn't realize that I thought it was an ongoing thing, and because I hadn't read the entire first series, just the first couple of issues, I figured, I'll wait till the whole thing's done, and I'll just read it all the way through, and then collecting, and then I collected all of White Knight, Curse of the White Knight, and it was. At that point, I was like, I think I'm missing some issues. So they're just 8 issues. That's it. There's just 8 limited series, 8 issues. Okay, great. I've got everything. I'll just read it all the way through. So I read it once all the way through. Then I read it again all the way through. And then I read it again. I said, geez, I might as well get the hardcover, because opening these things and putting them back in, and it's just a pain. And because I was reading it too often. I was reading it like once every couple of weeks, like every 3 weeks. And it was cumbersome to do so. So then I got the hardcovers, the deluxe one at the back. It's got all the beautiful original art. And I'm like, wow, the original art is fantastic. I mean, the art I love the story, and I love the art even more, because I already was in love with his artwork on everything else. But for me, for the story, it kind of like, I was like, oh my God, this guy is just on fire right now. So I reached out, I went to his Big Cartel site, and I looked at what we had available, and I narrowed down to 4 pieces. And I'm like, okay, I'm going to get one of these 4 pieces. And the Friday, I was going to do it on Friday because it was payday. I just needed a little extra to make sure I had the funds ready to buy it. Friday comes, those 4 pieces are gone. All 4 of them are gone. And I'm like, what the heck am I supposed to get now? So I go through the book. I grab the book and I start going through it, and I make a list of every page and every page that I want, and I send it to his dealer, because this book came out in 2017, and this is me trying to get pages 3 years later. A lot of the great pages have been sold, and they're already on CAF, and like they're gone, and they're not gonna, I can't get them. So I'm just going through to see what's available, and he writes back very kindly. He took the time to do this. He's like, not available, sold, in the permanent collection, sold. Never been available for sale, so maybe available, sold. So I was like, oh. So this page just happened to be one of the ones that was available, and I just jumped on it. And again, it's a quiet page. I love the sense of space. I love the sense of storytelling. Like in that top panel, you've got Commissioner Gordon checking in. Batman's just pounded Joker into a pulp. But then you got that window on the side, and you can see from that last panel how he obviously, the storytelling, there's an argument, and he comes around because he sees Batgirl, and they're now looking right at Joker. Like, just that sense of space and that sense of storytelling is just wonderful. I love the way he draws Gordon. I mean, he draws a fantastic everything, but I love his Gordon. I love his Batgirl. Even his Bullock is fantastic. Mm-hmm. And he doesn't skip. Every page that I've ever seen from him is magical. There's something amazing to stare at every single time you look at it. There's so much detail, and they're just so intricately done. And again, that sense of space, it gets me every time. So I got this page and I was like, this is fantastic. Like, I love this. So I got this last year. This was last year. I can't remember if it was a birthday present or not. It may have been. So I thought I'd do the same thing again this year. I get myself an early birthday present. So I saw another page, and thank you for featuring it a couple weeks ago. I was like, this is amazing. This is the first time I've ever gotten. I was so proud. I'm like, yay, Bill likes Sean Gordon Murphy too. And I just love this page. Again, it's a quiet scene. You've got Joker, and he's just reflecting. He's talking to Batman, but just the details, like his face is all, still messed up because of being pounded. And every panel, like, you see the tiny Batman. You also see the tiny Joker in the actual cell. And that last panel with, Batman jumping out, it's just like, again, that storytelling, that back and forth. He's making a conversation. There's a lot of heavy black on here, but there's such a mood. There's such I just love all the intricacies, all the toys, but it's that storytelling, just that back and forth conversation. He's made that conversation and really it's one-sided because it's only the Joker talking on this page, but it's elegant and it's engaging. And I love it. This is about the time where I thought, I've got 2 pages from issue 1. Wouldn't it be nice if I had this lifelong goal of collecting the entirety of issue 1? It would take me forever. I would need like a Brink truck worth of cash to actually pull this off. But I got time. It'll take years. I'll do it. But I soon realized that that's not going to be possible, and that's fine. I love this first issue. In this first issue, there's so many amazing, memorable scenes, and I think it's like, if he was going to do one issue and only one issue, he put so much time and effort in this particular issue that I think he just blew me away. And I just want to collect as much artwork from that issue as possible. And in fact, I think all the pages that I'm showing tonight are from that issue. And I've got other pages, but they're all from that issue. So the last 2 pages are this is the third piece that's in my permanent collection. And this is one of those pages, like, I saw this splash and I was like, oh my God, I would love to own this one day. And I couldn't imagine ever affording this page or actually ever getting this page. But I was, selling some things, and I sold a few things, and I had some, I was getting other artwork from another collector. Thanks, Steve. You've helped my collection for Sean Gordon Murphy stuff tremendously. But this page, I love how simple it starts off in the corner. It's like, there's not much line work. The Joker is like innocent, so it's very thin lines. And then you get to it and it's getting a little bit more detailed. And by the time you get to Gangster Joker, it's like all this heaviness and it's all this chaos. And the rest of it on the right side is all chaos. Dino did a wonderful analysis of this page when he in the Collector Conversations issue 2. I'm doing some cross promoting now. But I mean, I love the Batman in the sky, the cityscape, like the Batman head, but it's also mirrored next to the J of the Joker when he's in jail. This is the first Harley Quinn that he's ever drawn, Sean has ever drawn. Again, there's so much going on this page. You just want to stare at it for hours and hours and hours. I love it. It's when I remember when I went through the book and I was looking at, it's one of the pages where Jeff said back, maybe. And the reason he had said maybe was that it was going to be at the Metropolis show. And then when I found out that it was going to be there, and I just said, I have to have this piece. I got to get this piece. So I ended up making a play for it. But I'm thrilled. It's one of the few published pages that I have in my collection that I'm like, I can't believe I have this page. I love it. It's just fantastic. And the greatest part is that
I was gonna say, that was because we did that show, or I did that live gallery show with Murphy.
Yes.
And Vincent and Micah. I didn't get to talk much to Sean except in the green room before and after the show, but that was a lot of fun. And I remember seeing that piece. I thought it was awesome that you got it.
Yeah,
one of my favorite pieces from that show too.
Me too. There's a couple others. If I had endless money, I would have loved to purchase like 3 or 4 of them. But that was again like early on in my collecting career. I wanted to go to San Diego to get that Campbell. I wanted to go to that show to get that piece, and I made it that a priority, and that was my goal, and I absolutely love that piece, and I also love the fact that the very first piece I got, and the one that you show with Joker being beaten to a pulp, they're consecutive pages. That was page 14, that's page 15. So the fact that I've got when I open up my portfolio, I've got them side by side, and it's really nice that it feels like I'm looking through the book in a way. It's really fun. It's nice. That's when I started imagining, maybe I could get all of an issue. That would be a cool thing.
That's a tall task though. I mean, but to have consecutive pages at all is always fun. When you have that, and then completing a whole book, that's a big task.
Yeah, I think that's beyond me. That's just like I think an Amazing Spider-Man by Tom McFarlane is it's out of my reach. I don't think
they're out there a little bit more frequently than they have been in the past, but but out of reach is probably the way it is for most collectors.
Yeah, if I can go back 10 years, maybe that'd be another story. So the final piece of the night. So I had no idea, Bill, that this is how it worked. So I put the one where it was a conversation, that nice Batman final splash kind of going into action. It's just that conversation between him talking to Batman. I posted that page, but I also uploaded this next page that we're gonna show at the same time. But I clicked it off so that way you couldn't see it, because I thought I don't want to throw too much at the same time. I'll just do the one, and then the following week I'll just put that one up. But the way that the site works is that the second you put it up, that's when you get your 7 days to have that sort of banner that says new.
So you actually made it active and then you turned it off.
Yeah. So it was on for a blip and then it was gone.
That is true.
Yeah. And again, I just didn't want to throw too much work all at once.
Right.
So then I unclicked it. So maybe I think that it didn't have that sort of, oh, look, it's a brand new piece. So I wanted to show it tonight because it is a tremendous piece. It is so gorgeous. Again, the eye flow, go from the top and then you go down and it leads you right into the Joker. But man, when you look at this piece, Murphy's made a library. The hero, like it's stunning. Like the eye flow follows that conversation down and then it leads you to the Joker. But then your art, the art that your eye just kind of wants to take in is incredible. There, you see that spiral staircase. Then there's the balconies. Then there's the books that are opened up at the bottom on the left side. Then there's that chair. And then if you look up, there's the map and it's kind of unfolding, but there's detail on that map. And then in the far background, there's the guard and some sort of vault. But even between the stacks, there's a ladder going up. Like there's so much thought put into this page, into this scene. It's just tremendous to look at. I stare at it and I'm like, I cannot believe the amount of effort and lovely artistry that went into creating just this simple environment. It just blows my mind. Like, to me, that's what Sean Murphy is, my absolute favorite at the moment. Like, to me, he's just on top of it. He is killing it. The fact that he takes this much time and effort into every page, like every page has something this cool in it. Some of them have more cool, but every page has such good texture, such good rendering, so much detail, so much space, so much mood. It's hard not to love everything he's doing. So
this is a fantastic page, and it really, it shows off his talents in so many different ways. I mean, there's the figure work, and at least outside of the panels at the top. I mean, just the atmosphere, the fact that this could be an architectural rendering, and it's amazing.
Oh yeah.
And this is just, it's beautiful. I mean, I'm glad you got it. And I'm sorry I screwed up your.
Oh, no, you didn't. That's all on me.
Yeah, because I could tell you, had you not turned it on and then you waited a week and then turned it on, it's that first time you activate it. So you can add something and leave it inactive, and it doesn't have an activated date. But the moment it's saved with the active checkbox saved, that's the sole timestamp that we can ever put on it.
Yeah.
Even if you immediately turn it off. So
I messed up. That's
yeah. I mean, sorry.
It doesn't even, listen, it doesn't even matter. I just in case it, because there's a lot of wonderful pages that have been added since then, and I wanted to make sure I shared it just in case someone didn't get a chance to have a look at it. But it's beautiful.
Yeah, like Buzz just said, not a line wasted in that thing, and there were a lot of lines, but everyone had meaning. Yeah, no, I'm envious of that. I love pieces like that, and that's great. It deserves a lot more views. At least we gave it some attention tonight.
Yeah, it's one of my favorites, and it'll be in my collection for a long time. There's another page by Sean that I have that I wanted to share, but I'm like, if someone hasn't read the story, it's kind of a spoiler page. I didn't want to share it, but it's tremendous as well. So if you've read the story and you want to go check it out, go have a look. It's a wonderful page as well.
So outside of trying to complete that issue, what's next on your list of pieces that you want to get, artists whose work you're thinking about picking up? I mean, are these more spur of the moment, or is it something like where you like you talked about, you really love the book, you read it, and then finally went after the art? I mean, what is that kind of usually your approach to finding artwork that you want to get? Is it's loving the stories, or is it could it be something like watching Felix post these great wall power commissions that he does on a regular basis? I mean, what is your process usually for identifying the next artist you're looking for?
Yeah, see, I didn't know what was going to happen, because after, like, there's a lull. Like, if you look at my collecting, it comes on strong and then it just dips. Like, there's nothing or like one or two con sketches. They're not, like, I wasn't actually active until Sean. I just fell in love with Sean's work. So for me, I mean, there's a lot of pieces that I still want to get, and a lot of artists that I still want to get pieces from. I mean, I still want an Alan Davis Excalibur piece. I still want, that's still something that I'd love to get. And if it's from issue 3, that would be like, because that's my very first issue that I ever started collecting. I would love to have a page from that. Heck, I'd love the cover of like just the stamp of Juggernaut on Captain Britain's chest. Like, that'd be amazing. Or just the banter between them. Like, and I know it's on CAF, where the banter, and then he kicks him and he's like, the comedy in it is fantastic. But something with Captain Britain, Megan, Nightcrawler, like Phoenix, like any of them, I would love to get an Alan Davis early Excalibur, because I know he left and came back, but I like the first one is kind of more the soft spot for me, especially those first few issues. I'd love a mixed Spidey. If Scott would maybe let me have one.
If you ask nicely, he might, but I don't know. He's I think he keeps most things that he picks up, but
yeah,
no. Know. He might be in a mood one day.
Well, Scott, even if you don't, if I can't, talk you into selling one to me, maybe when there's one available that you don't go for it and let me have it. Maybe we could negotiate something. So this, I'd still want one. I know I couldn't afford anything, super splashy. Those days it'll be like a more regular page, but I'd still love to have, because it would, my favorite. I love the cover to Amazing Spider-Man 322. I would love to have. Yeah, I asked him 3 times. That'd be great. Yeah,
Works with Anthony.
Yeah, Pat, you're right. Just one. Like I'd like to have multiple, but it's like, I'm not going to be greedy. It's like whatever I can get or can afford. I'd love to get for my Murphy collection. There's a couple pieces that I'm missing. I'd love to get a cover. That's one thing I don't have yet. I've got like a full page splash. I've got a couple like half splashes. I'd love to get a cover. I'd love to have like a nice single image that with Batman on it, or Batgirl. I think that's something that I'm looking out for. Yeah, it's I know.
Just one more. You just need one more.
Just
that's how this hobby goes with most of us, right?
I know, especially if you fall in love with an artist and or the work. Like I've got 6 pages from Murphy, and I don't plan on that number is going to grow. I already know pages that I want to get, and then or I'd hope or aspire to. So that's still going to happen. I'd love to get an Olivier Coipel. I don't know if that's how you spell it, but I'd love to get something by him. Perfect. I'd love to get even a commission by him. I'd love to get a Batman or a Wolverine. I like the way he draws Wolverine, Spider-Man, and Batman. So I'd love to get something in that realm, whether that be a commission or an actual, if it's a cover or a nice piece. You're right, Steve. That page was a cover. If you got the hardcover edition, not the deluxe, it was a cover. But I want the full cover without the panels at the top. I want the full cover. That's the goal. Yeah, I mean, I can't think of like those are the lofty goals. A McFarlane, a cover by Sean Gordon Murphy, and then Olivier
page from Excalibur 3,
and a page from
or 4.
3 or 4. Yeah, I guess so. Oh my God, it's you give me more time, and I'll think, I wouldn't mind David Aja. I wouldn't mind.
Sure.
Jorge Fornez. Did I say that right?
Sounds. I'm not familiar. Let's put it that way.
Okay. I'd love a Daniel Warren Johnson commission. I'd love let's just keep going. Like I'd love a Catwoman by Jim Lee, like a Catwoman page, and even Batman Catwoman. But like I saw at the last auction, they're like $40,000. That's that's beyond my reach. So I mean, I'd have to trade a whole bunch of pages just to get that. So I'm sure it's possible, but it's
right.
It's
I mean, sometimes it's not worth it though. At the end of the day, unless you fall into a lot of money. But no, I know that feeling. I mean, I think a lot of us are getting priced out of certain things that we wish we could own, right? I mean, I always wanted to own a Frank Miller Daredevil page, but I'm kind of thinking I'm not going to do that. Right? Exactly. And so those are realities that we just have to face. It's either you're going to have to give up a lot to get that one example, or you're just going to have to live without. So it's good to, I mean, it's good to be able to find somebody like Murphy who's working like, it's not cheap, but it's still affordable. Oh, and there you go. Jorge Fornez.
There you go. Yeah, Jorge Fornez.
Just did Rorschach.
I love his Batman stuff. I mean, he's got his look is very Mazzucchelli. Yeah. Even the Mazzucchelli Daredevil page.
See, that's why. See, now we're just throwing him around. That is the trouble with this hobby.
Also on the list, never going to happen, is a Bill Watterson, Calvin and Hobbes. Like, I'd love that, and or even a Gary Larson, or maybe a little more affordable. Cool.
Yeah.
And then of course Jack Kirby. Like again, I could just keep going. Like, I mean, there's so much, but a lot of this stuff, like I'm looking at prices now, and I'm happy with what I have. And sometimes I think I'm just going to take everything that I own and then just get like 2 or 3 pieces. I'll trade it all in for like 2 or 3 pieces. But then once you get those 2 or 3 pieces, you're just going to keep adding, because it's just, we can't stop. this is an addiction. It really is.
Oh yeah.
There's so much good stuff out there.
Yeah, see, Joseph says Cluta, but Marcus mentions that Garfields are available. Yeah, they are. They are. And
Peanuts.
Peanuts. There you go. Yeah, Charles Schultz. All right. Yep. Well, and see, and these are all that, you think about it, all the pieces we've named. These are pieces that anybody who's been around the hobby for a while is always looking for really great examples. I mean, these are all creators that we'd all love to have just one really good example. And those you could probably say just one. Right,
yeah.
I mean, because you can't say if you could get a Miller Daredevil, would you really want it? Yeah, you couldn't get a second one. If you could get a good Peanut strip, you'll be happy with just one, right? At the end of the day. So
Murphy's the only guy that I need more. He just blows me away. And while he's still somewhat affordable, I can make it work.
It's almost your birthday. You should be talking to your wife. I think yeah. Well, 2 weeks. In 2 weeks.
Yeah, could it get shipped in time? I don't know.
You never know.
I don't think she's watching, but I put it in my Christmas list this year. But I was like one of those, again, it was never going to happen. But hey, it happened once 30 years ago, or 30 years when I was 30. So that's the one and only. Actually, no, it's not true. She got me a Stuart Immonen page as well a little while ago.
I love Stuart.
So
that's cool.
Yeah, I'd love something by him. Again, there's so much still left to collect. But we'll see what happens. But I have made a shift. So in terms of my,
thank you.
Yeah,
I do have a very good mouse guard page. I have to admit, it's one of my favorite pieces. Yeah, one of my favorite pieces of my collection is that one. It's not going anywhere. It's one of my. That's a piece that I regularly look at because I've just always loved David's work. So. Thank you for that, Steve.
Yeah, those are great. I mean, but my birthday gift to myself this year was, and again, it was that one Batman page. So maybe I don't think she got me anything, but you never know. Maybe now that we've put that in the universe, something magical will happen. Who knows?
Very, very true. But I looked at your website. You want to talk about it yourself a little bit, or you're happy being the mysterious Eric B? Because you do a little bit of art yourself.
I do. I mean, one of the reasons I got into collecting is that I wanted at some point to be an illustrator for Disney, and so I went to Sheridan, which is a very big school in Canada, in Ontario, for animation and illustration. And so for me, I always doodle. I've been doodling forever, and so I guess whenever I'm not collecting, I'll just doodle something myself. And if I can make something that I'm happy with, and it's like I've scratched that itch. I don't need to have something new. I've just created it, and I've taken part in Inktober, and for the month of October, I just get to have fun, and it's great because my son did it before I did, and I was like kind of jealous that he did it before I did. So I wanted to get in on there and do my own crack at it, and it was fantastic to just he and I bantering back and forth to see who's going to have the better day, and he beat me lots of times. He's fantastic. Like, this kid if he keeps going, he's going to be like, he's from where I was at his age, he is beyond me. So, and in a couple of years, he's going to be like, so it's amazing watching your kids just do something they love and watching them fly. So that's fantastic. But yeah, I work in advertising, so I do design websites, billboards, print, direct mail, like anything, branding. And so whenever a lot of times I've worked on clients where if you work on a client long enough, the same programs of things that they want to sell come back again. And I was 4 years on one client, and it was just like, okay, so we've got our fall plan, we've got our spring plan, and it's the same every year. So you're just churning out more ideas that are along the same. And during that fourth year, I was like, oh man, it's not as exciting. So you asked to get moved on to a different client to keep it fresh, because as a creative person, so I'm an art director, so I take care of the pictures and the design of everything. And I work with a partner who takes care of all the words. And so together we create like little gems. And but if you work on something long enough, it just you kind of get dulled, and you want to try new things. So you generally go on new clients. But I was on one client for 5 years, and I was just like, oh man, I don't know anymore. So I just started drawing again, and that's why I started to start doodling. And I even came up with my own comic strip It's for nobody to see, really. I do have a book on my site that you could buy it if you want to. It's about this ornery guy who gets a job at his local grocery store, and he, it's just like it's a comic strip. That's all it is, and it's just some funny stuff. And but yeah, so so there's some Inktober stuff, some Batman stuff. I love Bill Watterson, so I just did a Calvin and Hobbes, and I was like, hey, maybe that's the closest I'll ever get to owning a Calvin and Hobbes. So it just doodles. And then I've got, there's Bob. Bob's about to, ask his girlfriend out, and see how that plays out. And then I made a book, and you can buy it, and it's got like 77 strips inside, or 78.
All about Bob.
It's all about Bob. He's just a disgruntled worker who just got a job. I love
this image on there. I mean, that's beautiful.
Yeah, so it's just fun stuff. And I've done 2 books, and then I'm working on the 3rd one now. And these aren't really, I have it on here, but it's not like I promote my site for anything. I just kind of, I made it for my family. I made it for myself because I wanted a creative outlet, and I had so many of them. I just kept going, and I'm like, I could probably put a book together. So I put a book together, and I gave it to my family and friends. And then people were like, no, you should actually maybe advertise this. I'm like, I don't have time for that. I do advertising all day. I don't want to do it again at night. Then I put the next book out, and everyone's like, when's the 3rd one coming out? And I'm like, I don't know. I only got 10 strips for the next one. I'm sorry. I'm way behind schedule for the 10 people who are waiting for book 3. I'm sorry.
Oh man, but no, I think that's great. I mean, and that's what's cool about this day and age. You can have short print runs on things, and you can put books out and have fun. And I mean, you can be creative in ways that we couldn't be 30 or 40 years ago. When you were doodling and thinking, wow, it'd be great if I could make a book. Well, today you can. Today almost anybody can, right? Even if you just do one-off printing on something, or if you do a short run of just 50, it's just cool to be able to be in that position. I mean, Kickstarters and Indiegogos and all those other things have allowed creators to get their work out there. And so I love seeing work like that. Because I always wanted to do stuff like that growing up too. I mean, I wanted to be an illustrator and just tell fun stories. And I'm so far from what I thought I was going to be when I graduated high school, let alone art school. But no, I'm not envious. I'm actually joyous when I see stuff like this and people kind of being able to do things they really want to do like that. I love it.
Same here. Like I know that Dan is also an illustrator, and I want to see his work. I'm excited that, because you work so hard. I mean, I have friends from high school who were in my art class, and a lot of them have given up. And those who haven't, I love seeing their work. I'm like, you're still doing it. This is amazing. I love it. And I just want to encourage them to keep going because it's so much fun. And to me, it makes me feel like I'm young again. Like, and the worst part is that when I'm drawing and my wife is trying to talk to me, or the kids are trying to talk to me, you get tunnel vision. I have no idea that they're saying anything to me. And of course, sometimes my wife will throw something at me, or she'll yell and say, "Are you listening to what they're asking you?" I'm like, "What? Someone's speaking to me? I didn't hear anything." Because I just fall into the world. I'll start chuckling to myself because I've come up with an idea for a Bob strip, and I'm just, starting to doodle something. And I'm like, "Oh, that's funny." I had this idea once. It's like, and it made it into book 2 where Bob is complaining about Super Guy, which is a riff on Superman, and he's like, he's got. I get I get all his powers and everything, but this whole secret identity. He's the guy who if he's gonna save somebody, he opens up his shirt and he's got his costume underneath and he just takes it off and he goes, but he's got a long cape. Where does he keep the cape? Does he just bunch it up in the back? And so he's got an apron. So he takes off his apron and he's asking his bagger. He says, "Put this in my back. I want to see if customers notice that I've got something in my back of my shirt." So it's just like goofy stuff like that. So I do that and I start laughing and chuckling. And then my family's trying to talk to me, but I'm like trying to get the idea out and kind of sketch it out. And I always feel bad. So I try not to draw when they all go to bed or on weekends when it's planned. Like my son and I will say, "Hey, you want to draw?" And I'm like, "Yeah, let's go draw." And so we'll just sit at the table and start doodling. So that's that.
Oh, very cool. Well, I guarantee you're going to like Derp's work then, because there's a similar kind of thought process in the work that he does that I can tell he just gets a kick out of what he used to draw for like a local magazine called Cleveland Scene here, but and had a regular strip in that, which is where I first learned about him. but it's same kind of sensibility, really fun. I mean, I think you'll enjoy it, and I think you might sell a book or two tonight. You never know.
We'll see, maybe.
So you can get over that 10
Yeah, I'll get to
person
11
limit.
or 12.
Get 11, 12. Yeah, shoot for 15. You never know. But
yeah, it's a fun book. Listen, book two is what I have on the site. Book ones, I have like a couple left, but book one is like me dabbling. But there's a really nice, robust what you missed in book one, which really wasn't that much. It was him getting a job, him getting a bagger, him meeting a girl, and now he's about to go on a date with her. And what happens? And I think book two holds up, and it's printed on a really nice. It's on a offset stock. It's perfect bound. It's really nice. The Sunday strips are in color. So like every seventh image or strip is in color. And at the back, there's some outtakes as well. So like a bit of that creative process. And it's all hand-drawn and designed and put together by me. That's the benefit of working in graphic design and advertising, is that I make connections so I can get this printed, and then I know what I'm supposed to be doing to put it together. So it's fun. Which is why thank you, Bill, for you indulged me in terms of the the card.
No. It's my pleasure, man. This is so I hope this was everything you hoped it would be. I mean, you said you were nervous before we started, but I told you it's like once you start talking, it's just us hashing out stuff, and it's fun. The things are really cool when the chat interacts and does their own things in there. I mean, you've seen it, so I mean, but that's what makes these things so enjoyable, because everybody's story is different. Even though we kind of jumped right into the art early on, with yours, and kind of, but that was perfect. I mean, like I told you, I'm gonna say you got to go back and look at Eric's chat, because if we can structure chats like that, it's more fun. We get art out there earlier. Because you've seen some of our shows when we do an interview, and it's usually, sometimes like 30, 40 minutes into the show, we haven't shown one piece of art, and people will be like, where's the art? We want to see it now. So, no,
I've seen a couple times going, we should probably show some art. And so,
yes.
And this is fantastic. It was everything. I mean, I didn't have that many expectations except for being nervous, because I have a fairly small collection, even though I've been around for on CAF since 2008. I have a very small collection, and I want to show a lot. And then I'm like, oh my god, am I just showing everything? This is crazy. And I hope people found this entertaining, and they enjoyed the show, and they liked the art. And it's always fun to just share with other people, and then getting to meet, like actually talking live to you, because I see you like 3 times a week now, or it used to be 4 times, but I see you 3 times. You get that familiarity with someone, and I felt like I already know you, but like Bill Sienkiewicz, I don't know you. You don't know me.
I can picture Bill. I mean, when you said that, I'm like, I think I've seen people come up to Bill and say stuff, and I could see Bill saying that. But that's what's cool about us. I mean, I feel like when I get to go to a show, I'm going to feel like I know, so many people there. It's not going to be an unfamiliar, like we've not hung out and talked before, even if I haven't, like Marcus. I've never met Marcus, but I've seen him enough in the chat that I think when I meet him, I'm going to feel completely familiar and comfortable hanging out with him, just because I've been chatting with him or talking directly to him for the last 19 months. Right. I mean, I'm ready for shows. I'm sure everybody is. I think it's kind of long overdue, but I think that's what's been fun about doing these shows, as far as it's just kind of just the idea that because there are a lot of people that don't get out to cons, or maybe don't go to West Coast shows versus East Coast shows, and being able to get collectors on there and talking about their stories, hanging out with me. I mean, you get to put faces to names that you've seen on CAF for years. And I don't know. I mean, I've said this before. I wish we had been doing these things 5 years before COVID, and it wasn't COVID that made us get to this point. But man, it's been so much fun doing it. So I'm glad that you're available, because I know it was short notice. I was like, hey, are you free next week? Because I want to do a chat on Wednesday night, which isn't my normal night, and you were. So this worked out great. I hope I wasn't keeping you from doing any late night advertising work, though.
No, I had a big presentation today, and I finished it today. So today was the good night. I have like the night off tonight, so this is perfect.
Oh, that's good. And so Marcus said he's seen me at Market. Have we chatted before, Marcus? Though I guess maybe we did, and I didn't know it. But yes, I am a regular Marquez booth at San Diego. I didn't go to the couple before COVID, but Mark and I have known each other for a long time. I usually help him out in San Diego So you know, like when you got that Paulo thing lined up, I mean, I was probably around when that happened because
you look familiar, so
oh, there you go.
probably were.
I was probably taking stuff down. I help Mark sell. He likes having me in the booth because I know most of his artists, and I can usually talk about most of the stuff that's there. And so yeah, I don't get to walk around too much when I'm working for Mark at shows. But all right, so Marcus says we didn't talk. All right, Marcus. So all right, I've probably seen you. I know Marcus. I've probably walked by Albert's booth 1,000 times, and you've been in it. So I'm sure we've seen each other and never spoken. Yes, you're always at the see, you're at Albert's booth, right? That's in San Diego. Albert's booth is back Mark's booth. So I've stolen your power a few times, Marcus. I can tell you that to charge my laptop. But Eric, lots of fun tonight, and you know, thanks again. I hope you have a great birthday in a couple weeks, and I hope you get more than $5 on your birthday, so you don't get to get the other $5. I could just see the running jokes. It's like you get one shoe on your birthday and the other shoe on Christmas.
I may need to work that into a Bob's trip. Maybe Bob's birthday is similar to mine. I have to think about that.
There's plenty of jokes there. There's a lot of material, I think. But yeah, that's tough. Because I've had a lot of friends who had birthdays around Christmas. You know, I mean, Anthony's is like New Year's Eve or New Year's Day. So, you know, you've known a lot of people, and they always have that same story. It's like they just never had a birthday party that was always wrapped around the holiday. And yeah, that just stinks.
Birthday parties is always, I got family engagements that night. I'm like, oh, okay, that's all, whatever. I even traded with my sister one year because her birthday is July 2nd. I said, okay, cool. Because for me, a lot of times growing up, sorry, I'm extending this now. This is random stuff. Sorry, everybody. As a kid, you're like, all I get was winter clothes. You get winter clothes for your birthday. You get winter clothes for Christmas. I never get any summer clothes. None. So I said, I'll swap one year. I'll swap with my sister. So that way she's like, okay, cool. I'll get more winter clothes. I don't have that much. I get all the summer clothes. So, you know, and this was like probably when I was like 10, 11 or something, 12. It was younger, you know, maybe high school. I can't remember. Anyway, it doesn't matter. Swapped it. That year I got a DVD. I got one ticket to a concert and I had to buy the other one. And then I got a video game. I'm like, well, where's the clothes? The whole point of doing this was the clothes. What happened? Mm-hmm. But concert tickets were great. It was, you know, a band I really wanted to see. So that all worked out.
That's funny. Yeah, you just now you're back to getting winter clothes and $5 bills.
Yeah.
But so all right. Well, listen, it was totally fun, and I'm glad we got to work this out now. I actually don't have a show scheduled for next Wednesday, so if anybody, I get emailed a lot, and I have to just dig through emails to find the next person to chat with usually because I have so many people that have suggested it and whatnot. But if anybody's out there and is free next Wednesday, and you want to keep me from digging through my email to find the next person that I would interview, if you're free next Wednesday, let me know. Shoot me an email, bill@comicartfans.com, and we will hook you up for next Wednesday evening for a show. It would be fun. Just let me know. Again, Eric, appreciate it. I'm glad we got to see your 2 pieces of framed artwork. Now, are those hanging on the wall, or are they actually on? I was going to say they're on a couch. So. There's a
ledge. There's a ledge that the couch kind of goes up to the ledge. This isn't where they usually are. I had to set this up so that way I'm in the basement. This is to keep quiet from the kids and whatnot. So this is a total mock-up scenario. So
well, we have a very similar. That's what I used to have a couch there, and you can see there's a ledge. So I used to do the same thing, and then I was like, I just got to hang it on the wall, and so that's why I cleaned it up. But
truth be told, in the other area, this ledge goes all the way around. So they live over there, and they are on a ledge because I'm just too lazy to hang them up.
Well, nothing wrong with that. And I see David Matheny, you've mentioned Frank Lanza before. If nobody emails me tonight, I'll reach out to Frank because I know you've been asking me to chat with him. And if he's already said yes to you, then I will definitely reach out to him too. So, all right, Eric, well, listen, have a wonderful evening. Thank you. I appreciate it. I hope we get to see each other at a show sometime.
I hope so too.
Yeah, I mean, I hope to go to a couple in 2022. I'm planning on Heroes for sure, and I'm sure I'm going to go to New York, and maybe I'm going to go to San Diego. So other than that, I'm kind of going to feel my way through. I may be moving to Florida from Ohio at some point in the late winter, early spring. So I guess MegaCon's a May show, so I guess I probably would go to MegaCon if I can work that into my schedule. But you never know. So again, have a great evening. thank you so much. And I'm going to keep my eye on your CAF Gallery. And I hope somebody picks up a copy of your book tonight, too. So we've promoted that a couple times. So, all right. So, again, have a great evening. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in. And I've got my CAF update tonight or tomorrow night. So you'll see me again in less than 24 hours. Good evening and have a good night.